Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome to the FATED Connections episode number 61. Today we're, I lost track. It's like 8, 9, 10 weeks into the Expedition League, and we've just concluded Zizaran's Iolite Class Gauntlet. And tonight we're here not only with community streamer Velyna, who appeared on the streamer interview. So if you don't know her from anywhere else, which you should, you know her from the streamer interview. And then we're joined by the actual winner of the witch class, DS Lily. Welcome and congratulations. Clap, everyone.
Thank you.
We're all very excited.
Here.
The witch
It's a
queen.
little late.
Little late? Wait, what? We're congratulating and you're complaining it's too late?
No, I'm late to hear. My oversleep strap from the gauntlet carried over.
Oh.
All right, wait.
Too strong.
Wait. First question. First witch, what overall rank?
I
you
don't
know?
know. It was only like 11th, I think. Because
Still pretty high.
since I don't really practice for the gauntlet, the thing I did that I died to, the formed, apparently is regarded as the actual hardest boss, and I didn't know that. So I jumped in and then I died.
Also, there were other bosses that you could have done before.
I could have done Maven because Maven's super easy on DD, and that's probably it in reality. But maybe I could have done Uber Elder.
You think you could have gone for an all?
Oh, I was 12th. I definitely couldn't have done at Ziri.
Ziri has
I'm
low
scared
corpse
to
life.
lose it.
I mean, I don't think
I
I,
don't
can
know
do
if
more
the-
Veil in Gauntlet, so, you know. I'd
Just be res cap before you leave. Just sit and submerge to level 13.
With DD, you'll
That's-
still reflect yourself to death with Uber at Zero. She's the worst just because of that reflect in her, and her spear and her pro. She's just really bad still, actually.
and the screen wide flame blasts. with
I mean,
turbo.
those are. I feel like turbo. You have half a second to get out to react to such things, or or have a flask and hope that you live.
I think with DD, if you D-level to 1, you actually won't die to reflect.
Really?
Right, because you only reflect the active portion
Yeah.
you do, not the corpse portion. So you just buy a level 1 gem, you can do it without dying to reflect. You do lose half your damage, though.
Take a while.
Becomes a lot slower, but that's okay.
I remember the pain champ trying to chance a Sybils or to roll a reflect reduction ring last league in the very end when you're trying to go for it, Ziri. That was a currency burn fest.
Did they increase the rarity of Sybils? I have not seen one in like 4 leagues.
It's a very
I
good
I used to
question.
find them all the
so.
time.
I think
feel
with
like
Gwenon it should be easy to get one.
Gwenon. I just,
I don't know,
yeah.
I'm gonna check whether I have one. I have 2 in SSFHC. I didn't have one in the Gauntlet, I think.
I don't think I'd ever notice. They're never worth anything, so they're always off.
Yeah, Balor doesn't pick
Trade
them
life.
up on. Pick them up.
Trade life, they're always off. I never notice. I'm not picking up rings.
I'm a hoarder. I pick up rings for lore weave. I get 1 every league, and I gotta tell you, the amount of rare or unique rings that have popped up has been like none. Like I actually have only 1.5 rows
weaves?
of unique rings.
One and a
I
half
have
rows?
enough- yeah, in my stash where I normally would have like a full tab by now of unique rings. Like it's been really surprising. It's
Wait,
been
that's
surprisingly
in which league? Like you've been playing since start?
Yeah,
in that?
it's actually, well, I've skipped over a few, but it's been
Yeah,
really,
you must have not been picking them up.
It's just been really bad. And Cybils, like, it doesn't exist. I have not got one this league. at all. I haven't seen it. It does exist. It's just like, I don't know, the rarity of it is quite shocking. The rarity of a lot of these rings are actually quite shocking because they're like trash to be so rare.
It's hard for me to imagine, but like I have a similar problem with like Mark of Submission. I didn't have one for the longest time in the league. In general, I only notice with the unset rings because Mark of Submission is like one of the things I'm really looking forward to all league until I finally get one. And then I probably usually don't want it anymore because it's really good early on for that free global curse on hit. But then later on, when you have access to influence bases and stuff, where you could roll the specific curse that you want to get, plus stats. Actually,
I literally just had to look up Mark of Submission to find out what it was.
What the fuck?
But it's my favorite ring.
It's
It's so
a
good.
ring.
In the builds that I play, which oftentimes are cultist, where you have the curse explosions, right? Cursed enemies have a chance to explode. Then the explosion is a hit, and with a like a curse on hit or a despair setup, obviously you don't get the chaining explosions. Wait, with a curse on hit, yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that the explosions are your hits, right? But they're not spells nor attacks, but like if you have global curse on hit, then the explosions also curse on hit. That's why I'm always looking for a Mark of Submission early.
That has to be a solo self-found thing. I would never put that ring on for anything or anyone.
No, I mean, a couple leagues
just
ago.
get a curse on hit ring. Like 20C.
You don't get those in day one.
Yeah.
Well, you might, but they might be trash.
Nah, I do.
Okay, Valor.
Well, I mean, it's usually a shit ring, but it's less shit than a unique ring that only has curse.
No, it's just really useful. It's really useful for League Start. I swear to God, I'm totally with Valor here. Like League Starts, it's actually something that I've put in my own build guides. Be like, before you get curse on hit ring, put in this Mark of Submission, just use it because this way your curse, you have more damage, etc., etc. Blah, 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 blah. You know? All that kind of shit. It's just good. It's good ring. I stand with Catmaster. Good ring. I don't know how we got to this topic, but Lily agrees you're outnumbered, Valor.
Okay.
Yeah.
It does feel bad to use though, no stats.
It does.
Well, it does feel bad to use on on pretty much any day other than the first 2 or 3. But
pretty much.
I do like the idea of being able to put like a 21-23 despair in there, especially for despair. I think it's kind of worth it. But then obviously you get to a point where the damage difference between that high level, high quality despair and the despair from a hunter ring is not as big as the difference between like no stats on your ring and actual stats on your ring. I mean, especially like a chaos dot build. Essence crafted rings like with Envy where you get increased chaos damage are really nice. Really nice. But before we go into like a specific talk about what happened in the Gauntlet, maybe we'll talk a bit in general about like what have you guys been up to, especially Balor and Veli. What have you done instead of Gauntlet? Have you been following the Gauntlet as a viewer, or have you just completely zoned out?
Valor.
So, do you want me to go? All right.
Yeah.
Just go.
I've been loosely following the Gauntlet, but like not like enough. But like I get linked a bunch of stuff, which for me is fantastic because otherwise I would be interested enough to go looking for it. But instead of wasting my time going looking for it, I just farm that out to chat. Anytime they find something interesting, they just link the clips to me. It's great. I love that. So I've been watching it, but otherwise just doing my own thing. I've been doing.
So you've seen the Brother Bear song?
No.
Wait, you didn't know that there was a bounty for the first person to kill Awakener 8 and to sing the entire Brother Bear song?
No.
Like in the 3rd phase?
No, but somebody had better send me that clip. But other than that, I got really sick of the rhetoric of there's only like 3 builds to play unless you've got like 200 exalts to spend. So I just decided to start like a little YouTube series of like 20x-ish builds for 2nd and 3rd builds and just do like different play styles. So we're on like the 5th different build in like a week and in like 2 weeks that are all in like 20x budget ranges and just pumping out YouTube content because it works great.
Yeah.
The current one is Death's Oath. I'm doing Death's Oath on a budget.
Oh, Death's Oath is so good.
It's so fun to play. Like my total single target DPS is only like 2.2 mil, which like sounds horribly low, but
for a dot build, that's pretty good.
But it's 2.2
Not
mil
bad.
and it's smooth and it's up all the time, so it doesn't feel nearly as bad as like if you had 2 mil on a Blade Flurry build, it would feel pretty bad for bossing.
I might have to look into your build. Like I need to yoink some of your build strats there because I got a 92 Death's Oath in HCSSF right now.
I mean, I've only got like 5.2k life.
That's more than I have.
But I also
and
have
you get
like,
10 times the damage, probably.
I also have like Aspect of the Spider, buffed up with supported by Enhance, Temp Chains as well for more defense, Malediction for more defense. It's I don't know. It's pretty good. I die like once a day doing fully juiced tier 16 maps. Which is
only once a day.
For a soft core build is fine. 1 death a day. I'm not going to notice that until I'm like at least level 97, 98. Like
I think the other day you were bragging about how your current build only dies 3 times per day or something like that. So once per day
this one's
is
better.
Yeah.
This one's better. It just doesn't. Everything's too slow to hit me. Like you can't get hit. You'd have to take a nap to get hit.
Oh, right.
So,
you're doing the setup with Caustic Arrow.
And an Aspect of the Spider. Like, things just don't move. And it's really nice. It's really nice.
You're doing the Caustic Arrow setup? Do you use Darkscorn, actually?
No, just a crafted bow.
No, I was wondering, because Darkscorn would be defensively the best, right? Because you take physical as Chaos. And then you cap out on Chaos resist really easily, and you can use
like 83
Divine
Chaos
Flash.
Res or something. 81 or 83 Chaos Res, something like that.
Nice. Yeah,
I don't even have Vitality in the build. It doesn't have any regen. But it also doesn't really take damage because you can't get hit when mobs move that slowly.
So what you're saying is they should speed up the mobs like they did in Act 1 to make your build feel real competitive, right? It's like that's what you want? You need that edge?
Well, for me, there were 2 defensive plans. I had 2 defensive plans that would have both had equal merit. One was have the AoE blind, the Flesh and Stone aura, and have a super buffed up Enfeeble as my other blasphemy curse to like lower their accuracy more and whatnot. So there was that, or go with Temp Chains and Aspect of the Spider to just slow them a bunch so they don't hit me. I picked the slow one because I find it amusing to watch metamorphs come out and like form change and then go,
I'm trying so hard.
like I find that amusing, so I went with that. But you know, if they couldn't be slowed, then I'd just go the other way. But it's also wearing the that helmet, the Maven helmet, and 2 magic rings, so it's immune to crit, it's immune to curses, it's unlucky when damaged, if it ever gets hit. It's still sitting on like 5.2k life and 2 mil damage. I don't know, it feels pretty good for a relatively budget build. And it gets to map clear like Death's Oath, which is just run as fast as you can, which is great. My favorite type of build to play is one where you don't have to push buttons.
Yeah.
You just run and things die. It's my favorite thing to do.
Oh man.
What kind of quiver are you using? The block quiver?
No, just some quiver with. I think it's got dot multi Chaos
But
Res.
the dot multi is only for.
Chaos.
Isn't the dot
Yeah,
multi on quiver only
caustic.
for the attacks? Yeah, so it's only for the caustic. So I think you could go with a defensive quiver. Do you think it's worth to go Soul Strike and the energy shield recharge affects life? No, that's too far of a travel.
Nah. And I wouldn't go with a block quiver. I'm already phase acro.
Yeah,
And I've already got elusive.
Yeah, no,
and
that's
I've got a
way better
quartz
to be on
flask.
that side of the tree anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's fine. It's pretty decent defensively.
Yeah.
If I had a higher budget, like if I was willing to spend 40 or 50, it would be CI, not life.
Really?
But, oh yeah.
Just for the defensive aspect, because you do lose one support gem, you can't use life tap then.
Yeah, but there's another support you can put in instead that'll do some
Which
amount
one?
of damage. I'm not even using Conk. I could use Conk.
Oh, okay. What are you using
It's actually
instead?
more damage. It's actually more damage if I put it in Conk, but I don't
Well,
like
what are you
lowering
using
the
instead
area.
of Kong?
I don't remember. Woke Ink AoE, I think.
Okay, yeah, that's probably better because when you run past monsters really fast, then they stay in the AoE longer. It's probably about the same damage as Conk outside of single target.
Yep.
But yeah, for me, Conk is the standard
just
setup.
putting Conk instead of life tap. It's fine.
The problem is that if you don't have life tap, then it doesn't gain the duration tag, and then you don't get to use Swift Affliction and Efficacy. You need either life tap or Arcane Surge to give it the duration tag.
You just put in Arcane Surge. It's fine.
Well, but then you're
Or
not
you can
putting
just
in
leave
Conk
life
effect.
tap in and suffer. Not having having one less link. It doesn't matter. The damage
it's the
goes up
same
when you change the CI anyway.
It's the same. It's the same whether you use life tap or Arcane Surge in the CI variant because you don't get any effect from either. It's just the only thing it does is give the duration tag.
Yep, it's fine. The damage goes up when you go CI anyway. It just costs a lot more. But yeah, it's part of the budget series, so I'm trying to keep it at around 20x and pure bought 20x, not crafted. It's like I could have crafted that bow I'm wearing for like 6x pretty easily. 6 or 7x I could make those bows. And I could do it over and over again. It wouldn't be like randomized. It would be 6 to 7x on average, and I could just pump them out. But I had to pay 12, which is like half the budget of my build, because that's the going price for selling them. But if I'm going to do build guides on like what is a 20x budget, I have to assume that if you need a guide for a 20x budget build, you also can't craft your own gear. So I either have to go through.
But crafting it is not that complicated.
Crafting
but people don't want to do it.
Okay.
Well, that's
it's fair.
it feels very intimidating.
I would still mention it,
and you're like, "What is this stuff?" Right? like a new person coming into crafting. Now they're looking at their money like it's mats, and they're like, "The fuck," it's not.
Yeah,
it's hard to separate the difference sometimes.
Fair enough.
I totally get it.
Fair enough.
When
I
I
would say that in the build guide.
This is the budget. I make it bought at that budget so that people can go and buy it, right?
Yeah, before I
please,
started streaming, I was softcore trade mainly, and I never crafted. Never.
Yeah.
I just bought everything.
Yep. Exactly. Because, like, why? It's already there available. Actually, not this league, though. Like, nobody's available. Everybody's just, especially the big crafters, you're like, I guess I have to make it myself. Been one of those situations. But yeah, softcore trade absolutely does that to you. It's like, why craft when I could buy?
No, I agree.
The answer is because it costs 6 or 7x to craft it and 12 to buy.
But people don't know that. They don't know. Or they're just willing to pay for convenience, right? Like, I'll pay literally a whole Exalt more just to have 2 more stats to make it perfect. And then, because I'm...
Yeah, no, it's true.
Like that.
It's the same as, like, to save me 10 minutes of buying scarabs from different people, I will pay double price.
Mm-hmm.
There's a 2C scarab that I could pick up 4 or 5 here and then 4 or 5 there and then 4 or 5 there. I will buy 100 from you at 4C. Because you've got all of them, and I'm not doing all of those trades. It's just convenient. Just give me the thing.
That's one of the weirdest things about Path of Exile, that buying in bulk is actually more expensive than buying singles. That's something you have to get used to when you're transitioning from real life economy. One quick side note I wanted to make, though, like, generally I agree crafting is intimidating, especially to newer players. But with something like crafting a caustic arrow bow, I feel like that, you could at least mention in the build guide being like, okay, I wanted to not craft this, but if you want to save like half the currency, here's a link to a really short, easy crafting video how you make a bow like this, because that one's really straightforward to make.
Yeah, see, that's something I can do and do. I do them relatively often. But so my idea when I make a build guide like that is not only do I have to buy all of the stuff, but if there's only 3 or 4 of the thing I want, then that's not an option for me to buy. Even though if I was making a build for me, I'd be like, brilliant, this little hidden gem no one's thought of in a little while, and there's 4 of them available super cheap. Like, there was a Malevolence Reservation Helm enchant, and that would have been the best option for my build. That would have been the best option for my build, but there was one of them in existence with the right helmet. So I can't buy that and then give it to people and be like, just make this. It was only a 1x helmet, because those helmets don't exist. I've now got the only one. Whereas, so I looked up Curse Effect, and I was like, I could go with either Temp Chains Curse Effect or Despair Curse Effect, and both of them would be pretty good. And then I looked at both of them, and between them, there was like 98 helms online and available, and I'm like, that's the one. I could go with one of them, right? So I also avoid things that aren't available in a decent quantity. I don't like the idea of me putting together a build guide and being like, look at what I did for 20x, and then like the first 2 people that do it can do that, and then the items are gone. That just feels disingeneunous.
Just craft the items. Just craft the items that people need for your build guides. 5 head.
I mean, I could. But I don't know. I just like the idea that if I put out a YouTube video, 200 people can grab it and make the build. Like, yeah, they should be able to. If I say this is 23x head to toe, and that's what you've got, you should be able to build it for 23x, even if you got to the thing a day late. So I try and avoid things that are very limited in supply.
Just do it Gazi style and include your mirror helmet into the build guide.
Wow, shots fired.
I'm just memeing. I love Gazi. And he always has budget versions also. Like, people are just mad at him for min-maxing the build guides and stuff.
I mean, that's why I do my build guides in a gear progression, just so, like, this is what you can start with, and this is what the end game looks like. Like, the very end late game, you want to be a god, here's the very perfectest of gear that you could possibly get. And then I don't tell people the prices. I tell them how to craft it, because I tend to make builds that are not meta, and then it's hard to get stuff. So...
And that's the right way to do it, because in the past I've done builds where I'm like just reporting on my SSF state of the build, and then people take it for a build guide and they're like, oh, this is shit. This is not near top end anywhere. You could do so much better and stuff like that. I'm like, dude, I'm just trying to show off what I can do on like a SSF kind of budget restriction. Mm-hmm. And then if you do super min-max, then people are going to complain about how you're using such expensive items. And it's like, you know, the only real way to go about making a build guide is to show different stages of the build, like you said, I think. Lily, are we gonna see a build guide from you for the winning witch build for the gauntlet? I mean, that's gotta get some thumbnail.
I've already got one on DD.
Yeah, but you can rehash
nothing's changed. I could.
Yeah, but YouTube viewers won't know that.
I've been saying I'm going to upload build guides like the entire league, and I haven't done it.
Okay. So now at this point, you're careful about committing to a statement like that.
No, I still say I will, but then I just never will.
Yeah, you have to do it. It's so good. You have to do YouTube. Do more YouTube.
I know. I hate it though. I really do.
It's literally the worst part of content.
I fucking hate it.
It's so bad.
I just hate the process. I like having a video and it's doing
the work
well.
part of this job though, because the streaming part is fun. I enjoy that part. The work part is all of the things you do while not streaming, right? That's the work part.
Oh man. Yeah, but YouTube is awkward and weird and uncomfortable, and it's like, you know,
exactly
all those things.
I have to say when I'm streaming, I don't know how to be when I'm making a video.
It also,
exactly.
It feels awkward too, because like if you say something stupid or wrong on stream, like it might get clipped and it might get shown to some people, but it just disappears. Even if it gets clipped, it just goes away. Like a week later, no one's thinking about it. But if you do it in a build guide or a YouTube video,
Yeah.
New people are still watching that 4 months later.
Yeah, and they're gonna complain about how nothing works. They're gonna complain about how nothing works because the patch ruined the entire build.
Yeah. Or just like the one thing you misspoke in a 15-minute video that was like obvious. It's obvious what you really meant, but you misspoke to the little bit. And like 4 months later, you'll still get people think, did you mean this? Yes, obviously. Also, there's 72 other comments that ask the same question. God damn it.
Honestly, so I made a little what I've been working on with my Mana Bond build, and I put it up on YouTube yesterday. And I said in it that my Amiyokins do 15% spell dodge, but it's 20% spell dodge. But I didn't want to remake the video, so I just put it up there, and I'm just going to let people yell at me about that fact that it's 20% spell dodge. It's like, fuck it, I can't do that again. Throw it in there. I'm not doing it.
I mean, if it encourages people to engage with the video and to leave a comment where they wouldn't have left a comment otherwise, then that's a win in your book.
Is that an actual strat?
It
Absolutely.
might be a strat.
I mean, saying wrong things on the internet is an actual strat, because when you say wrong things, people are more likely to interact and point out that you're wrong than if you say right things. I know that for sure.
An actual strat.
Especially in
intentional
paths,
mistakes.
Especially in Path, they'll be like, hello, streamer. I see you're not using the most efficient flask right now for your level. What are you doing, streamer? I'm like, I'm level 12. I'm level 12. It's fine.
Every single time there's a mistake in a YouTube video from now on, I'm just going to say it was intentional to up engagement on the video. That's going to be the excuse forever.
For me, it's my pure anxiety and like unwillingness to record it again. Too late. It's too late. It's done now. It's over.
That's what I tell the people, by the way, Balor. That's what I tell the people who are like, why is this Balor guy on the podcast?
Too late. Too late.
Because every time we do the podcast and I upload it to YouTube, people are pointing out that Balor has bad takes. But if Balor wasn't there, they wouldn't be pointing it out.
True.
That's fantastic. Everyone who hates me is just farming engagement for the podcast. It's great.
Oh man, the plan works.
Monetize your haters. That's great.
It is great.
The best part about that conversation is somebody listening to this on YouTube tomorrow or the next day has already commented about how much they hate me on like 6 other videos, and they're like, oh no!
Shit, I'm gonna delete my comments. Yeah. Well, I guess this is the time where I ask the question. Lily, will you let us in on the winning strats for the gauntlet? I mean, you say you didn't practice, but like, what made you pick the build that you picked versus the other ones that you could have played, and how did you go about the gauntlet in general this time around?
They're like, I didn't like any of the builds you can choose from this gauntlet besides DD. That's why I basically like. I did practice a little bit shield throw, and I like quit after tier 1 maps because I couldn't do it. But
what specifically did you dislike about shield throw?
Oh, okay. It actually is okay. I guess it feels fine, but I really, really hate shield throw. Something about the skill just feels off to me whenever I use it. Something about the targeting, I don't know. It's
the small hitbox. Probably it's so easy to miss.
100% with you. I did a solo self-fan run with that, and it's a good build. It just feels hard to play.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. So then I was like, I don't know what else I'm gonna play. I thought about Raider, but Lighty was playing Raider, so that wasn't gonna happen. Yeah, usually I just look at what other people are playing, and then I try and choose the least competitive one. And that's how it seemed to work.
Wouldn't that be Templar, though? Everybody hates my Voidport Templar.
Okay. The least competitive one.
Yeah, but then I'd have to fight Templar.
That's true. Ew. Oh man, I think all the Templars were dead, right? I'm pretty sure every Templar in the top was dead.
Yeah, I think so.
Poor Templars.
Nice.
I
Couldn't
mean,
even- I
in
think
the
most
end,
of this
everyone's
gauntlet-
dead.
I think there was only
Like,
one
Ruin
person
Templar
alive.
is one good build.
Yeah. I think there was one person alive from every class except for Templars were all just got murdered.
Well, I mean, in the
Oh.
top 5 Templars, there was one Guardian. I think the Guardian wasn't forbidden right? But all the other ones were forbidden right. No,
Oh.
one was rank 4 was cremation. Rank 5 was glacial cascade. Probably
Ooh.
totems.
Glacial Cascade. That's a surprise.
Interesting.
That's a surprise.
But yes, they're all dead. But the thing is, like, in the end of the gauntlet, everyone's dead, right? Like, on the last day, you're gonna take all the risks, and you're gonna die anyway. No matter how
Yeah.
good you build. Or, unless, of course, you're this god called Steel Mage who already won at that point. So then you don't have to take
man.
risks.
What do you mean he had to fight Uber as Ziri? That was like I felt Steel's anxiety from just watching. You know? I felt it.
Yeah.
It was like it translated right through of how scary that fight is in Gauntlet. Like, honestly, I wouldn't attempt it. My best in Gauntlet is level 80 alive, or level 79 and 2 conquerors killed, whichever one you want to consider. But this league I didn't end up playing it because my mental health went down the hole, so I decided to go through a different route of torture and do mana bond self cast and see if I can make that work. And I don't want. Okay. But yeah, like for the gauntlet, there's no. I don't even know. Uber at Ziri seems complete. I would be more willing to even try like Uber Elder than at Ziri. She's so scary. So
The
scary.
surprising thing was that he did Maven last, but with Gauntlet
Maven's so
mods on
easy.
it, I feel like Maven is not that affected. Like I'd be far more comfortable in Maven than in Uber Elder or Uber at Ziri.
Well,
With Gauntlet
he
mods
didn't need
on.
Maven to win. That's what he needed to do. Uber at Ziri and Uber Elder to win to get the point.
Right.
So
Right.
Maven was just like icing on the cake, I guess.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure that's right. Lily knows because she's the witch winner.
But LMP Maven's pretty bad, but I think it's still not as bad as the other two.
Yeah.
Then again, I haven't tried it, so
Yeah, I've
That's
never
what
done
I
an
think it would
LMP
be
Maven
like.
either. I'm probably gonna practice a whole lot for the next gauntlet. Like next league, I'm gonna start just probably play 2 weeks of the regular league, maybe even in softcore, and then just directly go into gauntlet practice for the rest of the league, so I can finally get some bosses down and to get used to them with LMP, because it's a completely different game for some bosses. And I've done a lot of Maven practice, but like just I don't know, I'd be sitting on hot potatoes if I was what's the thing? Sitting on what? Sitting on glass shards? I don't know. Like I'd be feeling really antsy if I was in Gauntlet for the first time and doing Maven LMP.
You should definitely do all your practice in softcore.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was really happy to see that one of the top 5 Marauders was an Armor Brand Chieftain, and that is exactly what I intended to play before my brain went borked. So I was like, oh, next league, I doubt they're going to nerf you because you're already bad.
It's already trash. So
I mean, but it's survivable, like it's good, it's survivable, you can run around, it's good, it's okay. Not that bad. Therefore, I'm like, yeah, okay.
Can we quickly take a moment to just admire that Steel did end up winning with Spectral Shield Throw, and before the Gauntlet, I'm pretty sure people were laughing at the general opinion that SST Gladiator is going to win the Gauntlet. Like that's what people dismissed as like amateurs' opinion, Redditors and stuff like that. SST Glad is not going to win the Gauntlet. There's so many better builds, and then all the better builds died.
I don't know. I feel like SST Glad is really easy to build comparatively. Like even just get the gear for comparatively to other builds in the Gauntlet. Like it seemed like the sure
Yep.
choice in my mind too. Right? I'll just stack armor, and in this case, I think steel went bleed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Steel did have really sick luck though. Again, I mean, he did have a Soul Taker again. I don't know whether he got it off of Grennan, but I suppose he did.
But he also took 24 hours to get one Elder Map. So how good was the luck, really?
True. Yeah, I mean that's all the streamer RNG is, right? It's the you only see the tip of the iceberg when the streamer is really lucky, but you don't see the 40 hours of grind, or 24 in that case. But yeah.
No, the Gauntlet, we see all of your grinds. Like I don't even know, Lily, how you stay awake so long and alert. Okay. How you can stay alert is amazing.
Did you actually?
Usually by the end, I'm not.
Yeah. It just starts to fizzle.
And also, you have to pay for it, right? Like, now that the Gauntlet's over, you have to pay for that sleep deficit with extra sleep. Like, it just happens.
My sleep deficit wasn't that bad, actually. I had like 140 hours played, and the rest was me sleeping. So
yeah, I had the impression that this time you did not pull any super long sessions, and did take healthy breaks, which is definitely a good strat if you want to stay alive.
Oh yeah, the breaks that's strat staying alert. Once I got past like 15 hours in streams, I've like every hour I'd go leave for like 5 minutes and
Good idea.
do something else.
Keep your mind awake. Because like even 6 hours into my streams, like time to zone out now. Time to completely zone and give in, and then die.
I do good for about 10 to 12 hours, and then after that, it is definitely downhill.
Yeah, same. And then my problem is that I can't do that on like 4 hours of sleep. Like I definitely need my full 7 hours of sleep, which I know you can do really well on low amounts of sleep, Balor. I can't. I've tried it. It just goes. I mean, one night I can do 1 night with sleep deficit. It will impact me, but it's not as bad. But I can't go 2 nights in a row with like 4 hours sleep each. That's terrible.
I can do about 14 or 15 days on 3 hours before it's a problem.
That sounds so painful.
I can do 3 hours a day for a little over 2 weeks. And then at some point, I will try to go to sleep for 3 hours and then wake up 15 hours later. It'll just happen. Like I'll be like, yeah, I'm okay on 3 hours. I'm okay on 3 hours. And then I'll be like, yeah, I'm a little tired. I'm starting to feel it. And then I'll set an alarm for 3 hours like every other day. And it'll just 15 hours later before I wake up. It'll just happen.
Yeah, I can totally relate to that. But for me, that happens like 2 days in. But yeah, Balor, you should definitely be playing Gauntlet with those gamer times.
Nah.
Go for it.
Nah.
Show us once. You got it in you. I know it. You're a true gamer. You've just been holding back on the Gauntlet.
I keep telling people I'm not good at playing the game. I'm only good at planning.
Well, I mean,
I'm really good in path
the
building.
is all planning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also like I have the reaction time of someone in their 30s because I'm in my 30s. And it's just not good enough. Like I struggle to dodge things at normal speed. Gauntlet mods, multi-proj. I'm just
one juice
hit.
T16. That's one juice T16. How many times do you die per day right now? Only once. Honestly, that's how I thought of the Gauntlet to make me do it. It's like, well, how juicy do I roll my maps? Sometimes they're LA weakness, minus, double physicals, damage, multi-proj chain. And I'm like, that looks good. Let's run it. Right? So I was like, okay, well, if I can run this and sometimes not die, maybe I have a chance to even try the Gauntlet.
Exactly.
That was my gateway copium to get into it.
I mean, I guess to be fair, I don't actually check map mods.
Exactly.
Like I just roll 24 maps and then I like, can I run reflect? And if I can't, I type in reflect and I just re-roll those. And I just keep going until everything says 80% quant and doesn't have the one mod I can't run. And then I just run them all.
Yeah.
I don't even read them. They could have anything on them.
That's a good way to know that maybe you could gauntlet practice if you don't even read mods and just go with it. And I mean, literally, that is what I did to convince myself. It's like I do roll those on softcore, and I don't always die depending on the build. So, maybe there's a chance, maybe, and then I have to think about, well, then I have to go SSF, and that's a whole other thought.
Yeah.
But still not that bad. Still completely workable. Gotta have faith. I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's also what I tell myself, is just don't roll red maps more than blue, and then it's fine. And just instead of map mods, you have the mods from the global gauntlet modifiers. And I mean, who needs map sustain, right? You can just buy maps from Tujin.
That's true, actually. Tujin has been a real homie. For you SSF players, how are you feeling about Tujin, Rog, and
I can't imagine how I'm gonna play the game when they're gone.
Yeah, do you feel this, Lily?
Yeah, for the last 3 days of Gauntlet, I was ignoring the other two and only doing Tujin.
Yep. Tujin is the homeboy, dude. He absolutely hooks it up. Gwenin never hooks it up. I hate her.
Wait, but like Gwenin and Rock give me all my influenced high-level bases before I'm able to farm that level content in order to get them. That's the great thing.
It's actually kind of good, yeah.
In that one solo self-found run I've ever done, I still managed to, before I got out of white maps, turn off all the lower currencies. I still wasn't picking up alts and transmutes and everything.
Alt?
Just because of those I can just buy them from the vendor. I have like 900 alts on solo self-found by the time I hit like 0-7.
Yeah,
because I bought them from the vendor.
Yeah, but on solo self-found, you can go through 700 alts rolling some bullshit rolls for your damn platinum stupid watchstones that you're gonna have, you know what I mean? Like, or on a cluster jewel, like you'll run out of them alts so fast. What?
Yeah, but here's the thing: if you don't pick any of them up, then you fit in an extra 4 maps an hour because you didn't pick them up, and one of those will be an extra Tujin you didn't get, and now you get to buy more alts than you would have picked up from the vendor. So you just end up with
3 Gwenins and a Rog. It's gonna be 3 Gwenins and a Rog. Okay.
I mean, in that 1 hour maybe, but then you do that over the course of forever, right?
I
don't know if I want to try solo self-found without that vendor. That vendor let me play the way I play in trade by turning off all the loot, and I don't want to. I don't want to. They're so good.
I was using Gwenin for alts. I'd just buy out her store and it'll be trash, and I'd get like 10 alts.
Ooh, actually, she is a great alt creator because that's what she likes to give you. It's just trash.
Yeah.
Would you like my blue garbage? I mean, okay.
That's true.
Oh, yeah. I never thought about using her for alts, but that is probably... You know what? I'm getting a little low on alts myself. I got like 1,000 Gwenin things.
Yeah, so... Yeah. No, I'm definitely gonna miss those guys. I mean, they're gonna come back eventually, and they already said that currency is gonna all be auto pickup and non-tradable. And yeah, definitely looking forward to their return, but they're not gonna be in 3.16 if I recall correctly.
I don't know if they said they would, but they did say it will go core. But honestly, like, I can't imagine them putting it in core with an 8% kind of, and then you just find a random Tujin, and then you have like 11 shards that you're just holding on to, hoping you can give them to him one day, Like, that's what I'm concerned about. How are they going to make the currency, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
For the low percentage that will see him or them or whatever. That's what I'm very interested to see. So how exactly are they going to implement this?
Yeah, saving up 100 maps just to buy out that one Exalt from Tujin. But it'll give you something else to look forward to grind towards.
Mhm.
They might stick it on like Alice passive or something.
That would be pretty good because I like Expedition. I don't know. I'll just say right here, I actually enjoy it because I don't like Blight stresses me out, but Expeditions, like I get to place things perfectly and then they all explode and I just blow it all up.
Yeah, I really liked it when I was doing like slowish builds, but the moment I got a Headhunter from Gwenin in Gauntlet and I made like a build with the Headhunter, then I realized what a lot of people have been saying, that it just breaks the flow of mapping too much. It's so frustrating when you got all those Headhunter buffs going and then you go up to an expedition and you're like, you place all the explosives, and even before you're done placing all the explosives, you're like almost out of buffs.
You know what's funny is that I remember this complaint about Harvest and Ritual. And you're like, I just pass by Rituals because they break up my map.
But Rituals are the exact opposite with Headhunter. Rituals supercharge you with Headhunter. Now I understand why Balor loved the Rituals so much during Ritual League. Because you go into a Ritual like the second or third in a map, and you start it, and then you go like, and all of a sudden you get like 5 to 10 Headhunter buffs.
You go in with 5 and come out with 30.
Yeah,
like,
something like that. If it's the last ritual or the second to last, and it's a supercharge. It's like a slingshot.
Yeah, they're great. I skip the league mechanic if I'm doing Headhunter builds. I just don't do it. I know it's a lot of money. I make a lot of money from selling them, but if I'm doing Headhunter builds, I'm just skipping it. It's too shit for my map. I
think logbooks are really good with Headhunters though, because you set it all up and then you go in like through the entire instance in one go.
Yeah, those are still pretty good. I've been selling all my league currency and all my logbooks though. I don't know. I ran a bunch of them and then got bored. And they're still worth about a load of money, so I just sell them all.
I like them. It just works for my brain.
Maybe you want to elaborate a little bit on your dislike for Blight and your love for Expedition. Like, what is it that makes the difference for you? Is it like the planning and thinking that goes into setting up an Expedition logbook where you read all the mods and stuff like that? Because you kind of don't have that with Blighted maps, right? Like, no one walks around the Blighted map first, checks all the tower positions, and comes up with a strat, which power.
You can't even check all the tower positions because they come up randomly when they make new lanes and shit.
Yeah,
right? Okay, I'll tell you what it is. I'll tell you, and you're gonna just hate the answer. It's my OCD that makes me really enjoy logbooks and really hate blights. Also, I have extreme anxiety, so like I can't even play Pac-Man because something's chasing me and I can't kill it and I can't handle that kind of stress. So in Blight, I can't handle the stress of trying to put up towers while things are coming down because like my anxiety makes me panic. So it's really true. It's so dumb. It's absolutely stupid, but it's true. So like with Pog books, I can just throw down and plan out the perfect little, look at there's a remnant over there. If I just move this thing a little, I got it. And you know, like that feels really satisfying for my OCD, and then watching everything blow up. And with the build I'm playing now, the Ignite, Prolive, Chaos, whatever nonsense with Black Flame Armor Brand, they just like, the Prolive has like a 15 radius, so it just keeps chain exploding, and I basically just walk through it's so cozy. So cozy. It's like really, really fun. I'm actually addicted to the explosions. I'm like, genuinely love them. Yeah. That's what it is. But Blights, and also that 5-minute timer on Blight maps. There's something about actually seeing the time. Like I could spend 10 minutes in a map and not notice, but that 5-minute time, I'm like, oh no. 5 whole minutes? Absolutely not.
Yep. Also, Blights feel backwards to me. You get all of the resources right at the end when there's no time to use them anymore. Like, you end every Blight map with enough resources to build like 15 towers on the spawn. But when you want to build towers, when it's calm enough that you could build towers, you don't have enough resources to build them.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, I just have to wait. And then,
Now-
it goes from wait and boring to everything is overwhelming me. Or you've just got something you get AFK blights on and then they're boring. So they're either annoying and stressful or boring.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, I think they're more... blights are probably more profitable than Expedition, unless you're just Tugening like I do all the Tugen and Danning. If you got Logbook, excellent. Tugen and Danning, like that's all I do. That's all I do all day is like Tugen log. I haven't even seen Gwennon's logbook stuff, and so I'm still getting quests because I never do Gwennon shit. Like, what's that? Yeah, it's just how it is. But me and my friend have a system right now. I give him all my blight maps. He gives me all his pog books. They're perfect trade, right?
Yep, that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's
All
really
the
what I
time.
love about trade. It's like that's what I notice every time I play Badger's private league when I get my little trade softcore excursion. It's just this. It's so good. The specializing. This one person just does all the blights. One person does all the heists. One person does all that content, and I just do whatever I want and hand all my other stuff to the other people, and get handed whatever I'm running. That's really cool, and I can totally see
Badger
myself.
League was so fun.
Yeah,
Did your
for
team
that
win?
same.
Did your teams
Which team were
win?
you on?
We got second, I think.
Oh shit!
We were really close to first. We're like
Neck and
80
neck,
points
right?
off or something.
It was
Yeah,
like neck
we
and neck for
were-
so long.
Yeah, and then I don't remember what happened, but that league's a really good experience. Everybody should do it.
That is the most fun private league, as far as I'm like me concerned. BPL is the most fun private league. It's the only one I'm like excited for every league. Like I've already made plans in my head about like what to do next. BPL, it's like continually in my head now. Of I get to do a league start, and then there's a month of me being in league, and then there'll be a BPL, and I can do this, and it's great.
Yeah.
I never do any of the other leagues but Gauntlet because I usually have cooked crafting ideas that take me like 3 weeks to make. So, if I just take a war-based staff and then try to make it spell in some way, it's still going to work though.
Well,
Yeah,
with
that kinda
influence
dumb
mods,
shit.
there's some things that you can do on a war staff, I guess.
Exactly. I always hear so much good things about the Badger League. I just haven't
You haven't?
always.
Or
No,
next
I
time you're
haven't.
gonna join?
I don't.
We're gonna be on the
I
same
literally
team.
don't play anything but the Gauntlet. I just don't like, and with my Sekiro addiction, I just haven't had the time. Honestly, the Sekiro has been taking up a large portion of my life.
How far are you into the game?
I'm at
Gonna
the
finish
end. I'm
anytime
just
soon?
lazy. I'm just lazy. I'm like right at Ish, and I'm just lazy. Honestly, it's like the 4-dot fight, and I'm like, oh yikes.
It's on my list. I should definitely be playing it at some point this year.
I thought
But
I would
yeah.
hate it. I don't. So check it out.
For sure. People have been pestering me about the Dark Souls games in general, so that one's definitely also up there in the list. But yeah, Badger League makes it feel really good to even run blighted maps because you're doing something for you take one for the team, right? And you supply all the oils for your team, for example. And just to quickly loop back to that blight topic, I do agree that placing the infrastructure in Harvest is much more satisfying than either in Blight or Harvest because wait, what did I say? In Expedition, I mean. Because in Harvest, there was like one clear best way to do it, and some variations of that one. Whereas in Blight, you have the fixed tower positions, and you usually go for a mono tower strat. You don't really variate a lot. Maybe some upgrade towers in between and some stun towers to slow things down or like chill. But there's not really that much of a differentiated approach. Also not per map or anything. But with Expedition, every time you get into a logbook or you get into an expedition counter in the map, you have these little moments like you described. Can I squeeze this remnant in and this? Oh wait, if I go and put it over there and then take the next one instead, then yeah, there's so
your
many
10
approaches.
explosions. You're 10 explosions in, and you see a duplicate mod. You're like, restart the whole damn thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, oh, a duplicate. Oh man, I'm 10 in. Back.
Yep.
Back. Okay, straight out here. Okay, now go around the other way.
Exactly. Exactly.
The
Yeah,
bad
just-
one is when you get one of those ones with like 40 explosions. And you're like 35 in right near the end, and you're like, oh, a duplicate. You know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna. I'll hit it now. We'll just keep going. I'm not redoing it from there.
Yeah.
And I want to say that blight maps are not that bad anymore. With the upgraded oils, you can bring them down to 3 minutes, right? And you don't feel like you're wasting 5 minutes of your time. It's only 3 minutes of your life that you waste.
Literally just seeing the timer. It's like, oh, 3 minutes? I don't got time for that.
But you happily spent 15 minutes in a logbook.
Exactly. Like, it's just some weird psychological thing on your brain, right? It's like, ugh.
Yeah, I can totally
man.
see that.
See, at least in a logbook, you're moving around the map, and a blight, you're just sitting there.
True.
Hugging
Yeah,
the pump.
just waiting. Just waiting. And like, it feels like the first 2 minutes is waiting for nothing. Oh, look, there's some guys over there.
Yep.
Wow.
You just brought up a painful memory of mine where I was playing an animated weapon build and I did forget to put the blight portal, like the portal in the blight map, I forgot to put it away in a far corner, and so it was right next to the pump, and I was in the full middle of the map, all weapons up, and I accidentally clicked the portal and I walked back in and all my minions despawned, obviously, because they don't transition between areas, and then I lost the blighted map and I almost died because I raged so hard that I slammed the keyboard.
Oh my god.
But yeah, good times. Yeah, for the gauntlet, I just want to quickly mention my approach so everyone is up there, updated with the information. I decided to go. I mean, I was sure I wasn't going to be one of the top dogs because I just started practicing way too late and I hadn't played SST Gladiator before. But I also didn't want to play any of the other builds because I thought that was going to give me the best shot at not dying early and to get my character past level 90 and to see whether I can actually get some bosses in. And then I did get past 90. I actually, this time, I think the last couple of gauntlets, I always died like really badly on the first day and then the first couple days and never got into stuff. This time I actually died only once, and that was before Brutus. I died in prison. Just because I was talking to chat and I just walked into a room and like 10 skeletons aimed their bows at me and just boom, and I was dead. And then, but after that, I just surprised myself by not dying to anything throughout the entire act. So it was a little bit slow. People were already probably in yellow maps by the time I got to maps. But somewhere in between day 1 and 2, I was actually in top 50 overall. Probably because people were sleeping at that point. But
It's your time to shine.
yeah, I managed to stay in top 100 until I died. And that was like just because I made a really bad call on a metamorph in a high yellow map. Like generally people say don't do metamorphs. I personally
didn't do a single one.
I think metamorphs are not that bad, and I really needed the map returns, but I know that generally people say that you don't do them. But I think when you don't juice them, like you don't do the softcore approach where you just click the row of left organs, if you just pick the right ones and you don't pick any rippy mods, then it's fine. Like no what is that? Soul Eruption, Soul Barrage, no any mortar skill. But like I made the mistake and I picked Ursa Mortar, and that just instantly ripped me.
Here's the thing though, if you don't pick the good mods, there's no point in doing the metamorph anyway.
You still get map drops and you still get catalysts and stuff. If you don't need to pick the best ones. You just don't get a pile of loot. You get like 2 or 3 items. But in the grand scheme of things, especially if you're trying to progress maps, it's always better to do the metamorph in my experience. Like even if you just pick all the right organs and you don't get any bonus, than to leave the map without a +1 drop. Because you could still get a +1 drop from the metamorph.
You can still pick one reward, right? Whether it's catalyst, maps, jewelry, etc.
Currency.
Yeah. So it's like kind of worth it, but like it's also kind of insanely dangerous.
Well, it's insanely dangerous if you're stupid like me and you're like Ursa Mortar. Oh, it's gonna be fine.
No problem, dude.
And I think
Mortars don't know what that is.
think I would have even survived if I shield charged through the monster, but when the monster had like 8% HP left, I just tunnel visioned on the HP bar and stood still for too long. It's like a common mistake, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, he's almost dead. Just go really hard now. Oh, resurrect in town. And then, like I said earlier, I had gotten a Headhunter off of Gwennen. First Headhunter ever in my life. And also the first Headhunter in Gauntlet. And then when my character died, I wasn't wearing the Headhunter because in a bleed build with Brutality, Headhunter is not that great.
Not really, yeah.
And I also needed like all the stats. I had a pretty good leather belt with like a tier 2 resist or something like that, and naturally unveiled cooldown recovery rate at like 16%. And I was like, oh, Pog, that's really nice for my Enduring Cry and for my Steel Skin and for my Flame Dash and everything. So I had my heart attached to that belt. And then I took it to standard. But yeah, after that died, I made... I'm actually hesitant to say it because it's so embarrassing, but like I made the worst Headhunter build I ever made. I mean, I never made a Headhunter build before, but like it was so terrible. I decided to go SST again, but I wanted to do Ascendant because the Ascendant ladder was still relatively free at that point. And even though I should have known that everyone's rerolling Ascendant at that point, everyone that died, like all the top players, rerolled Ascendant, probably, or Templar. I did roll Ascendant because I thought maybe I can get a top placement, especially with the Headhunter being able to farm maps really, really fast. And then I died to packet loss in Delve. It was so disheartening.
Oh.
I made it to level 89. I was like, at least I want to get safe to 90 to get another entry into the raffle at level 90. And then in Delve, like I had freeze and shock immune, so in Delve I was running around and all of a sudden my character stood still. Like no animation whatsoever. Character just stood still and I was like, wait, what is that? Am I frozen? I can't be frozen. I was like, okay, log out. And then turned out it was packet loss at that point. It was too late.
Yeah, it was too late.
I wonder though whether I would have died if I wouldn't have done the TCP logout, but if I would have done the /exit, whether it would have like gone through before I died. Eventually, but if you do the TCP logout and that fails, then it's not trying to log you out again. It just tries once to send the logout packet, and if that gets lost, then your character just stays in there forever. And forever is like 6 seconds. For those of you who don't know, the game keeps your character in the game for 6 seconds. When the connection fails, when the server doesn't receive any information from you whatsoever, then game only assumes that you're gone after 6 seconds, which is something... It's an ongoing battle between hardcore players and especially streamers and people who try to play competitively and GGG, where people demand that we can change that DC timer or that they at least lower it. And GGG has said in the past that they want to be really careful with something like that because they're afraid that viewers are going to copy the streamer's settings without respecting what would be the best setting for them personally, but just without questioning it. And then
which they 100% would, by the way.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, no question at all.
Yeah, and their fear is that people will just disconnect way more often than they would like to, because apparently the common internet connection sometimes sends no data for 1 or 2 seconds, or like even several seconds, which I don't know whether that's true. Like, and even if I was playing softcore, I would want my character to be out of the instance by the time the server has not received any information from me for 3 seconds. But yeah, I mean,
that's like the hill they're gonna die on. You know, it's always been an issue. Just like how instance crashes happen just randomly since the existence of the game.
Since forever?
I have a story about that.
I started playing the game. Yeah, the instance crashes. Oh.
Sometimes you just can't leave your map because your hideout just disappeared. It's gone now.
Yep.
I need you guys to try that. Try Harlequin. If you have the Harlequin skin for Leap Slam, put the Harlequin Leap Slam on and have a cast when damage taken Tempest Shield, or at least have a Tempest Shield active. I guarantee you I crash once every map. If I do that and I leap slam around, and I think it's when the cast when damage taken Tempest Shield goes off mid leap slam, then the game just doesn't know what to do and crashes. but
I
I haven't been able to point my finger exactly. I need to write a bug report still. I don't know whether it's a known issue, but it's been happening way too consistently in Badger League and in the Gauntlet. And then when I just took off the Tempest Shield, it didn't happen anymore, or took off the Leap Slam skin. So I'm almost sure it's that combination.
I see you saying, Balor, that 6 seconds was perfectly fine, but let me tell you, back in the day there was reflect mobs and it was not perfectly fine. Okay.
I mean, I was playing hardcore at that point, and it felt 6 second DC time and was fine at one point. Just the game was so slow.
I literally wouldn't play hardcore because of the amount of DC and packet loss that I used to experience back in the day with hard. That's literally why I shied away from it, because I was like, the amount that I've died in hardcore to packet loss or DCs is higher than my deaths in hardcore to just like me being dumb, which is surprising.
I never had that problem, and I have shit Australian internet. I just had a logout macro, and like if you DC from the game, the logout macro still logs you out.
It bad. If the logout macro just is on stuck on the same thing that your game is, you have to alt F4, you know? This happens. Shit just happens. So it's always been an issue, but I just think it's one of those things that it's like one of those things. Nothing's really Po 2 is gonna fix it, guys. Just Po 2 is just totally gonna fix it. Let me take my copium.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't think they'll ever reduce the timer. They're
you pretty,
don't think?
Yeah.
They have to.
No, they seem pretty adamant on leaving it at 6 because they think people are too dumb.
I mean, but 6 seconds is like that's like an eternity when we're talking about Path of Exiles these days.
I agree.
Like some people clear maps in 6 seconds.
Those people are completely unethical. 6 second map clear. I mean, maybe back in the day, strand maps.
Oh yeah, no, I've definitely cleared strand maps in like 15 seconds, but I don't know about 6. 6 is a little extreme. I bet there was someone that was doing it in 6 seconds though.
Their name is Tai Killer. You know them? 6 second maps. He's got the 112.
Tai Killer is clearing Diablo 2 maps at the moment.
Oh,
is anyone else not planning on playing the Diablo 2 remaster?
No way. Like, no.
You know what my thing says? My about me?
No.
My about me is Diablo 2 is not
Wasn't
very
that good.
Wasn't that good? It upsets people great. I actually had a guy come in yesterday saying, "What the fuck is this?" Like, what is this shit down here? And I'm like, "We got him. We got another one." We hook him in every time.
You gotta get flamed so often for that.
Yeah, I mean, so much. I imagine the Poe boys that come in like Vince McMahon. Hell are you saying? You know, like just so mad.
Yeah, but that's literally what we were talking about earlier, like just making a wrong statement in order to promote engagement.
You know, I just listen, what can I say? I don't have the rose-colored glasses the Diablo 2 is. I'm just like, it's whatever.
So this means to me that you didn't play Diablo 2 when it was a relevant game.
No, I played it in 2000. Well, I said when Rift came out, my friend from Rift is like, "You want to play Diablo 2 with me?" And I was like, "I don't really know, dude." But remember, my favorite game is Morrowind, so I can't say anything about potato graphics or potato games in any way, shape, or form. My favorite game is a potato.
I actually agree with your statement, but only in the present tense. I'd say Diablo 2 isn't that good, but when it was a thing, it was the most amazing game I've ever played. Like the immersion, the soundtrack, the game mechanics, it was all so incredibly fun.
That's it. I played thousands of hours of D2 when it was relevant. But I don't have that nostalgia factor that everyone else has got. And I'm like, I know how much it did for the industry, and I know how much I absolutely fucking loved it. But it's also a 22-year-old game. And remastering it a little bit isn't. if I was to revisit D2 now and play it because of the remaster, I probably would not enjoy it. It doesn't live up to today's standards, and then it would sour the good taste of D2 and memory of D2 that I have, because it doesn't live up to today's standards. It won't, and it can't, and it shouldn't have to. It's a 20-year-old game, and it was great then, and I loved it, and I'll just keep loving. I'll just keep them. It's just like the memory of a good relationship you used to have, but I don't want to date them again. Like it was a good thing that happened then. I'm happy that happened. I enjoyed the entire process.
Yeah.
So you don't want to get drunk and just give him a call?
No. No, this whole D2 remastered thing is like texting your ex. Like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like, I know it was good at the time. I know you had a lot of fun, but there's a reason you moved on. We're not doing that again.
Why did you leave me, Diablo 2? We were so good together.
But if that reason doesn't
You know what the worst
exist,
part is?
What?
Well,
I don't really disagree with any of that, but I think every other ARPG is so bad, other than like Last Epoch maybe, but I still think D2 is the top 3 ARPG.
it
Honestly,
is. I agree.
Dude, I actually molded out of Last Epoch yesterday because I found out that everything, they don't have a leash, nothing leashes, and you have no phasing. So you're telling me I just have to kill these mobs again and get fuck that. I'm like so mad about it. I was just trying to run through mobs and they just don't leash. They just follow you through the entire map. And I'm like, this is the stupidest shit I've ever experienced.
oh,
The only other game that does that is Final Fantasy 11. Okay.
you mean they don't become like inactive when you go like 2 screens away? But
they
okay,
just keep following you forever. So eventually I just had this horde of things following me. And I'm like, this is getting goddamn ridiculous.
But you can kite together really big packs. That's really nice. And then just explode them.
You can literally run to the end of the map and then turn around and kill the entire map as it runs in at you. It's fantastic.
But you see, it's good, except I'm just started playing and I'm in Act 1 and I just want to run past things to get to the next area, and that doesn't let me do that without taking chunks of my health, and then I die. And I'm mad
also,
about it.
if you do that, you'll end up super underleveled in that game. Like, it's designed for you to
well,
kill
I'm
as you
actually
go.
right now too overleveled because I'm actually molding. I turned to my chat yesterday. I said I fucking hate this game. And I was so mad, but I think I'm just mad because I'm just shocked that nothing leashes. I was really surprised that there was no leashing. Like, every game has leashing. It blew my mind.
I've really enjoyed Last Epoch. I've probably only spent 400 or 500 hours on it. I can't wait for it to get multiplayer.
It
But like
feels
what Lily
nice.
said is right. It's still super upsetting that D2 is still probably in the top 3. Like, it's like and it's a 20-year-old outdated game I don't want to play anymore. But there's nothing else. There's just PoE, Last Epoch, trash all the way down, and then down here Diablo 2 from 22 years ago. Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
ARPGs are hard to make, apparently. Really hard to satisfy us.
Right?
Yeah. And
Man.
I really hope. I don't have confidence, but I really hope that Blizzard recognizes that and puts as much of D2 into D4 as possible and like elaborates on that. But yeah, that's exactly my mental stance, Balor. I just don't trust in Blizzard anymore. I don't trust in their ability to make a good game. I mean, I'm impressed with the D2 remake in some ways, but I'm also appalled by some of the things that they did. Where like, I mean, they're minor things, but they changed some things about the clothing and the character models that people get upset about, where they didn't stay very true to the original just in order to avoid issues. And then also the whole thing with the mod support is just so mind-boggling that they, I mean, they must recognize the value of modded Diablo. Like, I don't know whether it was technical difficulties that made it so that they decided that there's no support, but that's just going to make it die really fast. And then I don't know. That's just the reason for me that I don't want to support it. I don't want to buy it. I mean, in general, like I said, I don't have confidence in Blizzard much, so I probably wouldn't have wanted to play it anyway. But like, I would have really liked to experience the enhanced graphics and to have like one more playthrough of Diablo 2 with like up to date feeling. But I'm not gonna pay money for it if I can't mod it. It's just for a cosmetic update, then I might as well just play the original version.
It's insane to me that they're charging so much for.
How much are they charging actually? Full price?
Like, no, it's like $40.
45.
Canadian. Yeah, 45. Oh my god, that's sorry. Then it's $65 Canadian.
Yeah.
My bad.
It's $70 Australian here.
Yes.
What?
Like I'm not doing that.
Yeah, no,
For
never.
a 22-year-old game that has some new graphics, bro, I'll just go make my own mods before I do.
And also, new graphics. It's not like it's today's graphics standards either. It's just better than 22 years ago graphics. It's like 11 years ago graphics. Like
updated
it's better.
graphics. Sorry,
today
updated
graphics. Yeah.
Honestly, I think Blizzard is just their chief legal officer just quit, so they're in dire situations right now. They're in big trouble, man. I don't know how they're gonna. I think this could be. We're watching when people are like, "Oh, the fall of a empire." We're watching a fall of a gaming empire right now. Just slow. EA is gonna eat them up in some way, and then somehow it's gonna become even shittier than before.
Oh man. I don't want to know what EA is going to do to them. To the existing games. How can you make Hearthstone even more pay to win?
They're gonna make it so like Diablo 2, you gotta pay for every class but the barbarian that you get like right away. Okay. Yeah, that's how it's gonna be. That's how they're gonna do it. I just know it.
Now that we're on the topic of remasters, though, I have to give one more thing where I was really impressed, and I think that was also EA, though. It was under EA. I bought last year. I bought Command & Conquer Remastered because they remastered the first Command & Conquer engine, so both Tiberian Dawn and Red Alert 1, for the incredible price of €20. You get the entire game. You can switch in real time between the remastered 4K graphics and the old graphics, and you get like a working multiplayer mode, although I assume that's dead by now, but matchmaking system, everything, fully remastered soundtrack by the original composer, and honestly, that's already worth the $20. Like $20 right there for an album of like one of the coolest game music completely remastered. Or two actually, because it's two games, right? Tiberian Dawn and Red Alert soundtrack. So I was really happy to spend $20 on that, play like 1 hour of gameplay, and then never touch it again and uninstall it. just because I have love for the game, and they seem to have done that with a lot of love for detail and in a constant like back and forth with the community. They were developing the remastered version to make sure that's as true to the original as possible. And I was so impressed with something like that coming from that studio.
I love Command & Conquer. It's a really good game. Played it on a lot of different consoles, but it's very unfortunate that all these remasters or all these new games coming out still not a good enough ARPG. I mean, listen, I love Poe, but it needs some competition because healthy competition is good, right? Makes them inspired to be the very best. Right now, it's like, who's my competition? Diablo 4. Like it's not the same.
Last Epoch in 5 years.
5, yeah. Last Epoch will get there. 5 years.
Last Epoch's
now.
looking really good, and they're going to have a development cycle similar to PoE's. Like they're going to be
smart.
Good,
mm-hmm.
But it is still in beta, and even when it's not in beta, it'll just be a newly released game compared to a game that has 10 years of development behind it, or 12 or 15, I don't know how much, but a lot. Like, it'll be a while before Last Epoch's, like, on the level. I do think they'll get there.
Yeah.
Like, it's very promising. They're doing a very good job, but ain't there yet. I've been asking this because we're on the topic of old games getting remastered. I've been asking this for weeks on stream of everybody. Has anyone else played the game way back in the day called Black and White?
Oh yes, yeah. I even bought both the first one and the second one. I basically, I read like a series of interviews where they did in a German gaming magazine called PC Games. They visited the developers, or like one guy was always there or something like that. But basically they had like a 20, 30 week, every week or every month, well, every release, they had a new article with interviews with the developers and like background information on how they design systems in the game and stuff like that. I was so hyped for the game. I was so disappointed when it came out.
What? No, it was so good.
No, Black and White 2
literally
was
one of
what
my-
Black and White 1 was supposed to be, I think. Like, there was so
It's
many
one of my
features
favorite
missing.
games.
Yeah, then
And
maybe
it's
you
so
didn't
old
have
now,
that.
I want it redone. I want
Maybe
it
just-
redone.
Maybe you just
Okay,
didn't have that
guys-
background of like information of what they originally planned the game to be, what they set out for it to be, and then what it was finally shipped as, because there was so many things missing that they didn't do, that they were talking about at length.
You guys are killing me calling it so old. It came out in 2001. I'm like, that old, I swear to God.
Yeah, it's like 20-something years old.
Yo,
It
that
was
ain't
so
that
good.
old. What do you mean?
I mean, that means I was like 11 when it came out.
Lily doesn't even remember the game.
I don't
Never
remember
heard
the
of
game
it.
either. But yeah,
Never heard of it?
me
It was
either.
revolutionary because you had like a hand, right? In your mouse, you would control a hand that would hover over the ground, and you can grab like village people and trees
can-
and rocks and stuff like that,
Oh,
and
trees.
sling them around with physics. And you were basically a god. And then your character would change based on whether you did good deeds or bad deeds. But there was really no reason to be good in Black and White 1. Being bad was way better in all regards.
I just that's the one I'm waiting on getting like an actual remaster, or even just like a third version, like an up to date, like today standard game. Like I would like to play that game again.
Does Peter Molyneux, however his name is pronounced, does that guy still make games though?
It was owned by EA though.
Yikes. Man,
I think
anything that's owned by EA is a yikes.
I think the developers were Lionheart Studios.
Really?
Yeah,
that's-
Lionheart.
Yeah, and EA
No,
was
that's
just the
actually
publisher.
amazing.
Yeah, EA. I'm pretty sure were just the publisher. I'm pretty sure Lionheart Studios ran the game. I think. But yeah, it was really good. That's just my like old game that's been stuck in my head for weeks now that I just want to play again.
It was a unique experience. I'll say though, it was very, very frustrating to play the first part. The second one was much better and much more well-rounded in terms of what you're able to do in the world, and also for multiplayer. But yeah, no, that for me. Now that we're on that topic, Jagged Alliance 2, turn-based combat strategy, right? Like on an isometric map, and you had like you had mercenaries where you're trying to basically with guerrilla warfare, you were trying to free a third world country from its dictatorship. And that was so good. It was so immersive. I never finished the game because it was so hard. But like just freeing the first couple of cities and getting your foothold in, and then buying more mercenaries with the money that you were making from helping the people in the cities and stuff like. I want some developer to step in and do to Jagged Alliance 2 what GGG did to Diablo 2. I want a new game that basically elaborates on all the principles that they had in that game, and just make it the new thing. But I don't think it's gonna happen because the way that the gameplay works, it just doesn't cater to today's gamers. I think with the turn-based, there's no like, it's not really action, right? It's not really fast-paced. It's more like very slow, and it relies a lot on quick saving and quick loading. Like back then, that was a big problem with game design. Was that every game needed to have like quick save or quick load, or at least save and load functions, and that just made it completely impossible to make the game fair and challenging, right? Like all games were designed like in a very unfair, hard way, just so that even when you were cheesing it with load and save all the time, that you'd still have a challenge. And especially with something like that where it's very RNG based, right? Like whether my mercenary hits someone when I tell him to shoot his gun for 6 action points, when that's based on RNG, and you can just quick load until you actually land the shot. That's very bad. I mean, imagine Path of Exile. You could just quick save and quick load until you hit that Exalt Slam. That would be so unengaging. I'm so happy it's an online game.
It was called an Eternal Orb. Exactly.
Yeah, but that had an in-game cost associated with it.
Not at the time. They were cheap as fuck.
Yeah, no, I mean, comparatively, they were relatively cheap. Like, they were cheaper than Exalts. So they were, they were pretty worthwhile. And then they were like, yo, this is way too OP. We better take this for people. It's been a sad day ever since.
The only reason they're expensive now is because the ones that exist are all there ever will be. There aren't any new ones. And the supply just goes down and down and down every time someone uses one.
Well, people were getting them in Legacy League, right? And that was the last time. That was the last time we got them back. Is Legacy Quant Gems and everything. It was good times, man. They were really good times. Yeah, I got Eternal. I never used it. I sold it. They were pretty rare. They were like divine rare, although I feel divines are less rare now. I don't know.
Wait, what? They were
like divine rare. I find divines are rarer than exalts.
Okay.
I find more exalts than divines, right? So they were divine rare.
We usually have more divines because of the vendor recipe, but actual raw divines are much rarer than exalts on the ground.
Exactly. That's basically what I mean. That's like how they were. Yeah, it was good. Good times.
I have no idea how the game was back then. I mean, I started late 2014. By that time, I think Eternal Orbs were already not. Oh wait, no, that was quite after, because I saw one Eternal Orb drop in Permanent Standard when I started playing the game, and I was mapping with like 2 randos from public chat or from public mapping groups, and
what the hell?
One Eternal dropped, and it wasn't for me; it was allocated for someone else. I remember vividly, it dropped from a chest, and we told the guy to come and pick it up. And he was very grateful. Well, I mean, it was allocated to him. I couldn't have snagged it. Well, we could have tried and waited until he leaves the map. And just then, but then it would have been between the two. Like, we were 3 people in the map. The one guy it was dropped for, and the one guy next to me when I saw it drop. So
he was waiting there too, because he was like, whoever picks it up first, baby. You know, it's like whoever draws first.
Like a Wild West kind of thing, yeah.
Exactly. Whoever's got the fastest click is going to get that thing. Yeah.
He probably was cursing me because I told the owner to come and pick it up, and he was like, "Damn you! I wanted that."
That's the thing I like about Path, though. Like, when you actually do interact with the community, like, there's a lot of community members that are just really chill and really friendly and willing to help you out, or, you know, trading with some people. Now, I'm a true exile. If somebody has something underpriced, and I know it's underpriced, probably not. I'm not going to get full price. Okay, they did this to themselves. But people have given me more money, because when I've screwed myself over, I'm like, that's really nice of them. You know, when I underprice something, I'm like, oh wow, that's so nice. I don't do that shit though. Real exile.
I've had at least 10 instances of me reverse scamming myself and having them pay me back. Doing things like accidentally picking up a stack of exalts instead of one, and just trading somebody 10 exalts without noticing, and then they message you immediately and they're like, that was a stack, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, you paid me 9 extra exalts, and I'm like, oh shit, that was an accident. And then they like re-invite you, and you go back into the hideout, and they give you back 9x. It happens every time. It's ridiculous. I've done that at least 10 times.
All right.
On the whole, the community is a lot more wholesome than Reddit will want you to think.
Yeah.
Different communities, right? One gets more engaged the more they mold, and the other one is also gets very engaged when they mold, but they're also kind of friendly sometimes. That's basically it.
Well, before we that was a nice little sidetrack. I enjoyed that very much. But before we stray away too far, and before we conclude the Gauntlet topic, is there anything that you still want to point out about the Gauntlet? I feel like I want to hear a little bit more from Lily about her run and some memorable moments. But Yeah, let's start with that. Lily, do you want to tell us what thresholds, what important goals your build needed to hit before you were ready for the content?
Yeah, the biggest one I needed Glorious Vanity, but it wouldn't drop. In fact, no Legion Jewels would drop, and it took me 9 tries. And I actually got 0. Like, I didn't even get the ones I didn't want. Like, no Lethal Pride dropped, none of the other guy dropped. And it took me 9 tries, and then eventually I was like, all right, I'm going to full respec for damage and do a 4-way instead of a 3. And then it was kind of scary, but then it finally dropped after 9. And then
wait,
that was bad.
It for which keystone? For Corrupted Soul, or?
Yeah.
Okay. For those of you in chat who don't know, you can get the keystone passive, which lets you take 50% of non-chaos damage through your energy shield, but also gives you 15% of life as extra max energy shield. So it increases your pool greatly, but you have to make sure that you have about equal ES and life, or like, at which point does it become better than not having it?
I mean, it's pretty much always better unless, like, if your only energy shield is from Corrupted Soul, then it's probably not. I mean, I think it's always a positive, because if your life on block, then that makes it a lot more effective, because it's not just being tanked by your energy shield. Then it'll actually give you the HP back instead of doing nothing, instead of just blocking. That's the main reason I wanted it. I didn't really care about the energy shield. I mean, it's nice, obviously, but it makes your life on block so much better. It staggers damage out, so you don't just get hit and then you take the damage for free. There's that. I wanted a 6-link Hunter chest for the offering effect, so I got more block, but that wasn't happening either, and it wasn't 6-link, which in hindsight, I don't think I actually needed it, and I wouldn't do it again. I just use a normal rare.
Too much time on getting it.
Yeah, I just vastly underestimated how tanky the build actually was. Like, I probably could have been half as tanky and has been fine. Like, I could have just went to bosses like on day 5 or something, but I just vastly underestimated how tanky I actually was. Like, my character is probably the tankiest in the gauntlet, like by a decent chunk.
Your EHP. Do you know? Weird.
I think I had, like, people were checking, I had like close to 200,000 of each.
Damn.
Except for chaos, I think. The guy it's pretty much impossible for me to die in most ways. Except when I tanked all 4 guardians in the form. That wasn't good.
I couldn't even believe it. Chimera was behind you. Hydra was in front of you. That asshole was swirling in. I'm like, oh my god! Everybody converged on that spot. It, like, simultaneously. That was insane to witness. It was,
yeah.
Oh wow.
I don't even know what killed me. It was either Hydra or Chimera. I'm not sure if it was the Chimera's slash or if it was the bow from the arrows from Hydra.
I feel like it was the slash, but honestly, when did Minotaur pop up? Like, he was also there.
Yeah, it was everything. Like,
it was wild.
I don't know. Some people thought I died because I was stunned, but I was dead there no matter what.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. There's no chance.
Valiant goddamn effort, though, because that is some scary fight. That is terrifying. With gauntlet mods, like, oh my god. No thank you.
Yeah, so the reason I did it was, usually in Maven encounters with DD, your Desecrate pool has only your 2 Spectres that you bring in. So I'd have the 2 highest life ones, so I'd do like Giga Dam. But then one of the bosses, I think it's Hydra, it dilutes the pool, so my damage wasn't actually that good. So I was expecting to just blow them up, but then I didn't.
Always something like this.
Yeah, I'm actually not really informed on the DD build nowadays. What kind of specters do you use? Do you still use Crush Claws, or do you have like a variety of different
they got
specters?
nerfed. You use so the two main ones you use are the delve ones from the All City, Lithomancer and Stoneskin Flares.
Right.
And then for that you use I thought
Rusty
it was
Crushers and
everybody
Auto
thought it was
Enforcers
Rusty
from-
Crushers and Auto Enforcers, yeah, but actually there's a better one than Rusty Crushers. We found out Guard Captain has like 750, I think, instead of 675 on Rush Crusher for the HP.
And Guard Captain is also from
Which-
Heist?
Yeah.
Records Office, I presume.
I don't remember. I have a big document with all of them. I don't know where it's from. I just kept looking at that.
I assume you're gonna share that for the build
like,
guide.
You bring in 12 specters to like fights like Shaper. You put on Queen's Decree and you spec into the +1 specter node and you use 3 portals to bring in 12 of the highest every time. Which I guess I should have done that in the formed encounter, but I was expecting 2 to be better because I didn't think it would dilute the pool.
Yeah.
But like Hydra's ads must have messed it up because they have like there's like squids in there or something.
Yeah.
Which effectively makes my damage like a third.
Hydra puts in like 4 mobs or something. So if you only bring in 2,
5.
then suddenly you're making only a third of your corpses are the high level corpses and the other 2/3 are garbage ones. You're like,
I also
oh
think,
no.
What's his name? Phoenix has his mobs come up as well. I don't know if those Phoenixes actually have bodies.
Those don't exist.
They don't have bodies.
No. And
Okay.
Minotaur also has ads, but they're like golems and they don't have
Yeah.
they're not
They don't have bodies.
desecratable either.
Yeah. Something fleshy would do, which Hydra has. That sounds weird, but you know, one's fire, one's rock. So something fleshy.
Yeah, I don't know. I had pretty bad RNG on everything. I couldn't roll a weapon. My weapon was basically like just the minion damage essence, and that was pretty much it. A little bit of cast speed and mana, but my damage could have been a lot better, but couldn't roll it. Those weapons are like, in terms of non-influenced gear, like non-insane gear, it's probably like the hardest thing to roll. Tier 1 fire % damage has a weighting of 12.
Could you not go with like a temple item for that, like a incursion weapon with increased fire and flat fire?
Yeah, you could, but that's only like 70%, I think. I was trying to do veiled ones because that's like 80, but I couldn't get it with any good mods.
Damn. Wait, what is tier 1 then? 100 plus?
Yeah, it's like 109, I think. Ziz had it. Ziz got one.
Damn.
Of course.
Streamer RNG. And anything else like you would have liked that you didn't get, or that you think would have made the build even better? I mean, in a trade league, obviously you could probably do way more for the build and make it even more tanky.
I don't know. I got all the gear I wanted. Actually, I think I could have made a better helmet that was influenced with like minus fire res or something. What I wanted to do was get an Elder helmet and then craft it so it had spell block on it because you can get like extra 6%. But I just ended up not doing it because it's taking too long. It shouldn't be that hard to do though, but I just didn't want to deal with it, and I was stalling a lot already. But my gear is pretty good. I had a ring, had like 40% minion damage and life, mana res, and I had like my Fire Leech Amulet with like 110 life. My shield was okay. It was good because it had the charge mod, so I was getting frenzies, power charges, and endurance charges off of it when I blocked. But I was swapping my shield for different bosses. I had two. I had one with cold avoidance, and I used that one on Shaper because you don't want to really be hit much on it. So, and maybe when I tanked Shaper balls, it saved me with the extra avoidance. It was the secret tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a gamble, obviously, because sometimes you don't roll the avoid. But yeah, it's better than dying. And was there any like shortcomings that you felt that stem from the current state of the patch? Because I know that Lighty died twice to not having Flame Dash charges up, because he was using both Flame Dash and Withering Step, and Withering Step always draws from the cooldown for like because all the blink skills have the same, they share the same cooldown. And I was like, when I saw the second death, I was like, why were you using Withering Step again? But I guess it was crucial to the build.
Yeah, it gives you a lot of damage. Yeah, when I played, I hated it when I played ED even before the changes using Withering Step because it messes with your movement skill.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, the changes didn't really impact this build too much. Like, the biggest nerf was probably the Spectre damage. Like, this build was pretty much unchanged for the most part.
Wait, so the Spectres actually do damage in the build as well? They
yeah,
do
so
a sizable portion?
Yeah, a lot of your damage, like, you can tell when you're hitting a boss. You can tell when you hit your good Spectre. Like, it'll just chunk it. This year's it's diluted, so you only get it once every so often. What was really cool is when I did the Maven kill when it first came out, I was using Lethal Pride instead of Glorious Vanity, and I had a bunch of double damage chance on it, and I'd get like huge chunks just all of a sudden. Like, one hit out of like 20, I'd just do like half their HP.
Does that not like become a problem for me? Like, consistency of my damage
It's definitely a problem.
is really a thing that I want. Like,
Yeah,
I want to know that it's
the-
gonna die.
Yeah, this is probably the least consistent build because your damage will literally change every map. I mean, after a certain point, it doesn't really matter, but because you get good enough gear. But sometimes, like early on, one boss you'll like just blow up. Next map, you'll do like no damage. Or for example, Shaper, it was like a 22-minute fight and I did no damage. And on A8, it was pretty decent. I phased him in a few seconds on his first 3 phases, and it wasn't that bad. I played Helix for a while, Ventura. He just probably didn't take point blank.
Oh.
Yeah.
I haven't yet played Helix. I'm probably gonna do a Helix playthrough, and I think Ventura is hosting a Helix only league at the moment.
Oh, that his?
I heard. So you're not allowed to play anything but Helix. And I'm wondering what's the... Yeah, please.
If you... At least with the Raider version, I don't know about Poison. Probably not Poison. Haven't played Poison, but Point Blank makes it way better. Which most people didn't do. Like, it tripled my damage. Trying to stand back and get all the rotations and like angle it perfectly is not the play.
Yeah, that's what worries me the most about playing Helix without having played it, is that it just feels like on large immobile bosses, like Arakali or Kitava, it's going to be godlike because you can position perfectly and they have no choice but to get hit multiple times. And then on stuff that runs around or teleports around, you feel like you have Z DPS. Plus, you're putting yourself at risk for like having to be in melee range without being an actual melee character.
Melee range.
Have you played any Helix, Balor?
I like leveled with it, but not really. It just looks dangerous and slow. Like there's no reason. It looks like there's no reason for me to play it at all.
Well, I mean, if you want to play a spectral skill and you don't want to play shield throw because it's too meta, and you don't want to play spectral throw because it's too garbage, and that's right in the middle, right?
Yeah, to me that just feels like looking for a reason to play a shit skill. I just don't wanna.
That's something I have experience with. Looking for a reason to play bad builds.
Yeah.
But there's not as many bad builds this patch as we would have liked to think. I mean, I think the Gauntlet showed us a surprising amount of build diversity, which is, I think, something that a lot of people complained about. But from the casting and from the general vibe around the Gauntlet winner and the winner landscape, what I got was that most people say that this was the most, or I think maybe it's also like just a fact, that was the most diverse Gauntlet ever.
Yeah.
Saw so many different builds.
Surprisingly, all the Marauders seem to be like, there's a lot of Marauder diversity, and that's a shock to me because like Marauders, you know? But yeah, they had quite the build diversity. It was really nice to see. Some Totem Boys, the Arma Boy, there was, I can't actually remember it all, but it was good.
Yeah, I definitely saw War Chief totems. I saw. Yep. I don't know what else I saw.
RF.
RF? Really?
Yeah, I don't know what he placed, but Elementaling played it. Let me look.
Oh.
Well, I don't know if was he top 3? He might have been.
There's been a lot of really good builds. I mean, everybody's trying to find something since all their builds got nerfed to the ground, they feel, right? Oh, there was a Herald of Agni jug or whatever.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot going on.
Rice QT was even doing a Herald of Agony build.
Oh, God.
He was doing a War Chief. He probably had, like, all the Marauders.
Yep, rank 3 Marauder is RF.
That's actually wild, dude. An RF build gauntlet. That's absolutely wild.
And they said Fire Dot is dead.
Listen, I can confirm it's in a struggle. It's in a struggle.
You're not Fire Dot, you're Chaos Dot.
Well, listen, it started as fire and it ended as chaos. Okay? It ignites and then chaoses. It ignites.
We haven't talked about your build at all on the stream, right? Like we only did that in the on the podcast. We only did that in the pre-talk before we did the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you want to explain a little bit what you've been playing and what you set out to do and how it's going.
Well, so I told you about my failed venture about Mana Bond. Like I killed Sears 9 with it, but it feels so clunky. It kind of like I put up a video and the Pope's there, so if anybody wants to like mess around with it's like a low life Mana Bond. It's kind of a mess. It haunts my dreams. Like that's actually what I dreamed about last night. Not kidding.
Mana Bond is the skill that deals more damage the more mana you have missing, right?
The more mana you have missing, but you want also unreserved mana. You want as much unreserved mana as possible for a big dick Mana Bond. So it's really incredibly fresh. I went through 7 iterations of this build. I'm pretty sure I have to delete all those popes because they're bad. I managed to get, at one point I had 4.4 million DPS. Eventually it went down to like 3.2 to get more defenses, but it still just kind of feels clunky and not fun. So, it's up there for people to experiment with if they have any kind of, dream about it like I am. trying to make it work. There's some. It's like it's edging onto potential. Like it's so close, but not quite. And then I decided, they triple nerfed Ignite, but what if Ignite's not dead? So I did an Armor Brand Elementalist, which is now an Armor Brand Occultist, using Divine Flesh and regen and a double crab chest piece and gloves to get a bunch of armor and stay alive while I, throw around dot armas. Oh, and the Black Flame Ring, so it starts as a Ignite and then does chaos damage. It's really nice. It's okay. It did a really fast Veritania 15, like 30 seconds for an Ignite for a dot build doesn't feel that bad to me. Personally, I don't think so for a dot. I don't think it's that bad. However, if it wasn't nerfed, it would probably do it in like 8 seconds and it would have been amazing. Pre-nerf. Yep. So now I'm just trying to figure out where can I possibly get in a little more damage, because it looks like at the very tippy top end, probe-wise, with all the best things in the world, I'm at like 2 million DPS. But I'm having a lot of fun, so like, does it really matter? Right? There's one thing I feel that everybody missed out on. The point of this game is like fun, dude. Like we're playing a game for fun, and like everybody's just forgot to have fun, and they're just all big mad about all sorts of shit. It's definitely viable for all. Like I did Cirrus 9, it was a little slow, but like Deathless, it was fine, So it's the last phase that was slow. And I have to use Lightning Trap to help, bump up my damage. Mana was an issue as well, and I'm literally using 2 Divergent Inspirations on my cast ones. That's how bad the mana situation is.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And I had to get a boot enchant for mana recovery. Because it's like the mana is really unfortunate, right? It's a struggle. I'll put up a video about it. You'll be able to see. There you go.
This will probably like cuck my own jewel buying, but just as a side note for people in Trade League, don't undervalue the 5% reduced mana cost of skill mod on jewels. That you have 7 jewels in your build, and no one values that mod.
No.
To the point where if it exists on an otherwise 3 mod piece for your build, it's the same price as a 3 mod one without the mana cost thing. And if you put 6 of them into your build, suddenly you've got 30% less mana cost, and it makes a really big difference, and it costs you nothing.
Yeah, especially on like huge mana cost skills.
Yeah.
Like something that's not attack based is what I'm trying to say.
What if I told you that I currently don't even have my Watcher's Eye in? What if I told you that shit is desperate right now? And I actually don't have a lot of gems. It's actually a double anger Watcher's Eye. It's really nice. I got fire damage. Oh no, sorry, Malevolence. Is it double Malevolence? Yeah, I think it is actually fire damage.
And so you're not using that in favor of like reduced mana cost of skill because the mana sustain is so bad.
The mana sustain is actually that fucking terrible right now. Like I've had to do a lot to deal. It's actually good. It's good now, but what I had to do to get it there took me 2 days to figure out, because I'm not like, I don't know, usually my builds don't have that much mana problems, and all of a sudden I'm like, what is this? Mana struggles? So
There's also a Flask Craft for 20% reduced mana.
Fuck that, I ain't using that.
I used that this league. I've never used that before in my life.
I'm never using that. No way. Yeah, it's like I honestly didn't have that. The mana was so bad, my cast one wouldn't cast my Stone Golem because I didn't have enough mana for it. So I was like, wow. But now I've actually got it working, and it feels really comfy. And I mean, if you don't mind taking a little bit of time killing bosses, it feels really good mapping, especially in open maps. Like I throw in one armor brand and I just watch the Ignite Prolif, and because it's Black Flame, it's purple, just take over the entire thing. And I'm like, oh, that looks so good, and then I'm fully entranced in the build, and I don't I'm in. So it doesn't actually matter that the boss damage is a little low, because I don't really care if I take the time to kill a boss. Like, so what?
It does look super pretty.
It.
Can confirm.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Yeah.
I do like that approach to thinking about killing bosses too, because like you could have a build that like 2-second shots any boss in the game. But even if you do that, and even if you focus on bosses, you still spend 70% of your time running the map to the boss. Even if you were doing so, as long as you can map fast and you have enough to kill the boss, it's fine. It doesn't matter if the boss takes 30 seconds instead of 2. If you can clear the map to it, it's not and do that quickly, then you make up the time there. It's okay.
That's what I told myself on my elemental conversion trinity SST ascendant with Headhunter. It's like, it's fine. If I can clear a map just fast, I don't need to kill the boss. I'll just pour it out before the boss because I can't spend a minute clearly killing the boss.
Yeah. If you're wearing
a Headhunter and you don't have the damage to kill a boss at the end of the map, you need to look at how you're bossing. Because you should end up at the end of a map with like 25 Headhunter stacks on. Or you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I didn't choose my maps that hard because that's actually dangerous. So right, I didn't have that many rares. In some maps where the boss room is like optional and in the middle and not in the end of a linear map, I went into the boss room when I had like 15 buffs and then just killed the boss relatively swiftly. But in most maps, I just decided it's not worth it. Like, I'll do it later. And eventually I got there. Like, right when I first got into maps, I was actually skipping bosses in tier 1 maps. And then at the point, like, right before I died, if I did, like, any white tier map, I could just do the boss with 0 Headhunter buffs. Just go in, dead, right? But it's just elemental attacker builds just take a while to get going in general, I feel, for single target. Maybe that's just my subjective experience because I built them poorly or something like that. I don't know.
So the thing, at least in my opinion, with Headhunter is the more you juice your map, the safer it gets, not the more dangerous it gets. It's a big shift in your mental, because the more juiced your map is, the more buffs you have, and the more buffs you have, the more closer to Immortal you are, and the quicker you clear the map.
Yeah.
So, like,
that's
if
not
you can
entirely
triple beyond the map, it's instantly way safer.
That's not in Gauntlet. Not in Gauntlet.
Yep.
I do have to disagree.
I mean, maybe
there's random weird things happening. You get that random. Like, I was super scared when I got the random. What is it called? Shroud Walker in between or stuff like that. Obviously, getting hexproof and stuff like that was pretty awesome.
You're probably right in Gauntlet, but here's the counter to that. If you're not doing that and you don't have 15 to 20 Headhunter stacks at all times, Headhunter's not even a good belt. Take it off, put a real belt on, make a normal build.
What?
No, one buff. If it's the faster attacks, one buff is already better than not having it. It's so much better. And then all the fizz as extra mods that you get. You have to keep in mind that a Headhunter does not only give you one mod of a rare, it gives you all the mods of a rare, right? Unlike Inspired Learning, where you only get one mod and at random and stuff like that. Headhunter, like, honestly, it was worth already with a handful of buffs. I mean, I know what you're trying to say, and I agree with that. And whenever I play a Headhunter in a regular league, where not every monster has 30% extra damage from all elements and stuff like that, I'll definitely quadruple sextant and super juice my maps and be just fine. In Gauntlet, however, I do feel, especially with that build, I would have gotten killed very reliably.
I don't know, maybe Gauntlet's different. I couldn't. I can get so much power out of a belt. That if I'm not maintaining at least like 10 Headhunter stacks, it's not worth wearing. Like, there's so much power can come out of a belt. Belt slots are amazing. There's so many good belts it competes with.
Yeah.
Like, you're in a Fizz build, you could just be wearing a Raslathus. To die, you do 40% more damage.
I gambled all the studded builds, both in Gauntlet and in Perma and like the SSF HT. I never saw a Raslathus. I did Ancient Orb a Raslathus when I tried to Ancient Orb a Headhunter last league. And people told me that Raslathus is about the same rarity, if not rarer than Headhunter at the time.
What's your opinion on it, Lily? What do you think about Headhunters?
Yeah, I've never seen you with a Headhunter. You must have hated them.
I don't like the belt. I don't like playing with it. I feel like every Headhunter build feels the same, and I'm not a huge fan. I use it like once a year, maybe.
They do feel the same. Like, and now I'm big.
Yeah, you just fill up the screen. So I mean,
would you have even put
I don't
one
think
on
I'd use it if I
found
got
one?
a gauntlet.
Yeah, I don't think I would either. That was the question. Would you have used one if it dropped for you?
Oh,
I'm like, I just don't think it
probably not.
would be worth it.
Yeah, not on that build. But if you were to die and you had one in your stash, would you make a build with a Headhunter in mind? Or would you instead be like, okay,
I probably would. I don't know what I'd do for Gauntlet though. I really don't know. It doesn't sound great on SST either. And
in retrospective, I think SST Cold Conversion Raider would have been the play.
Yeah.
In retrospective, because the mixed elemental conversion and being non-crit with Ellie Overload was just super awkward. But I just didn't think that I would be able to get the investment going for crit. And especially, I don't know. It's so hard to get the full conversion also when you don't have the Watcher's Eye, and just overall was a bad decision. I want to close the topic of my bad build. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Although I did play it earlier, just right before the stream, and I did try, and because it's an SSF standard now after dying, and so I actually bought a character slot because I'm out of character slots and I still want to make videos about existing characters, so I couldn't delete any. So I bought an extra character slot, made a new character in HCSSF, took one of my tier 16 maps and ripped it into SSF standard, because I was under the impression that if I run a tier 16 map that it will complete all the Atlas up to that point. But that only works if they're from a previous series, apparently. Or like, I don't know what the reason is, but like I just ran it and I didn't get any Atlas completion other than that. But I cleared the tier 16 fine. The boss took ages, right? But I was able to kill it deathless. It took just very long.
Do you not have every other league you've ever played worth of maps just sitting in your stash in standard?
Not in SSF standard. In regular standard, yeah, if I migrate out, but in SSF standard, not. SSF standard, when I yesterday I logged onto the character and was like, okay, just one quick map to just record some footage. I was like, I was astonished because I actually didn't have access to the Atlas of Worlds. I had to do the stupid Aurea fetch quest first.
Yeah.
I really wish they'd remove that. I hate it so much.
The quest is terrible. It's so terrible.
I'm not gonna lie. I liked it when it first came out because it made a little more sense, but now I hate it because I'm like, this is just, let me go to the map now. Right? But like,
it was so nice the first time.
It was novel at first.
Yeah, it was cool. It had some dialogue, some background lore information and stuff like that. And I think it's perfectly fine for new players to get them into maps. Just like I like the tutorials, I like the pop-ups, I like generally everything that they do to make the game more hospitable to new players. I'm really a fan of that because I do think PoE has a relatively large dropout game. Sure, it's a free-to-play game, so the threshold to actually starting it is really low, and then you realize it has such a huge learning curve. So a lot of people already stop, or like Chris said on the Bay Class podcast, or was on Zizaran and Viyro, right? Where it says, what is an average player? The average player stops during the download and decides they want to watch Netflix instead. But I think I really like everything they do to ease new players into the game. But I just wish they gave us a no tutorials, like / no tutorials start option, just like we have no sound, so that as an experienced players you don't have to put up with all the things that the game is trying to shove into your face.
I would like that just for Tane, so he can fuck off from coming up every time I get a metamorph item. Like, you want to talk to me now, dude? You ready to talk? No, I'm not ready to talk to you, Tane.
Dude! That in maps where you have both Expedition and Tane, so every Tane map in Expedition League, and you haven't made it to quite the center of the Expedition quite yet, but you press A because you want to start placing down explosives, and instead of getting the explosives on your mouse cursor, you get Tane to spawn in the middle of your Expedition, and you're like, no, fuck you, Tane, I don't want you here, go away.
You called.
Also, for anyone who doesn't know, if you click Tane, it just opens a vendor window immediately, so you don't have to click sell items. Yeah. Which means he's the only vendor in my hideout anywhere near the map device. Which means every goddamn league start, There's no vendor for me. I have to wait until I find him so that he appears.
I think that's cool. Like, that makes it so much more impactful when you do finally find him and you're like, yes, now I got the guy that I can place next to my stash in my hideout. And then never use him for anything else. I'm really a big fan of them implementing that, like the shift or what is it, control click thing that you can do. You can actually do that. I just recently learned you can do that on Alva in maps instead of like pressing the thing. She directly shows you the temple. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, control clicking on NPCs in your hideout will open their main screen. But I do think they should update that. I think it's great that they added that to Tane. But like, what really frustrates me is like, I control click Zana because I want to buy maps, and instead it opens the Atlas. But the Atlas has a hotkey on my keyboard. Why do I need to control click Zana to open the Atlas? In the same way, I have a hotkey on my keyboard for the prophecy screen, right? You press H and you get your. For me, it's H. I don't know what's in the default, but I don't need to control click Navali to do that. I want to control click Navali to hand in divination cards. So like, I just don't think that things that already have a hotkey should be linked to control click the NPC, and they really should change that or give us the option to customize it. Where I mean, they're not really into customization, so they're probably just going to change it. But that's definitely one of my biggest gripes.
No worries, though. They're going to take out prophecies next league, they said. Maybe, probably next league. Please be next league. I don't want to do that
relatively soon. Yeah, I kind of feel bad about that. I was gonna do... So we got a bounty together with the Fated Connections podcast. Last time when we did the podcast with Karn and with Gucci, I had a crowdfund going for a bounty and a vote, and we ended up not doing the challenge that I wanted to do. Like, my bounty was supposed to be Navali related because I knew Navali is going to go away, and Navali is kind of the spiritual mother of Fated Connections, right? in some way. Let me quickly shout that out. We had donations from Lizard Dog, Mercury, Soupline, Naked Wire, Necropotence, Anger Elbow actually twice, and Zibi. And myself contributed to a bounty. We had a bounty of $169 for the first person to reach level 90 unascended. That's what it was in the end. Which I'm happy with that because it's more of a challenge rather than RNG. And anything Navali related would have been RNG. Like, I would have wanted to be the first person who 6-linked an item by consuming the Fated Connections prophecy, or the first person who 6-links an item in the ledge by looking at Kuduku or something like that, but those would have been insanely stupid. But I kind of like the idea with them having Kuduku on the screen while you 6-link, because that would have forced everyone who wants that bounty to, whenever they try to link something, they'd have to go to ledge and have Kuduku on the screen, just in case that they hit the 6-link that they could get the bounty. But yeah.
Goats.
It's surprising, by the way, that the bounty was, as Madaki pointed out, was claimed by a witch, which first I wouldn't have expected a witch, unascended witch, to claim it. I don't know whether that's the best one to do it. And it was relatively late. It was after I died on my gladiator, because I remember when I rerolled Ascendant, I was like, hey, maybe I can go for my own bounty because no one's claimed it yet. And I didn't know how to track unascended characters on the ladder. But then, while I was starting to level, it was pointed out to me that there was an unascended witch at 89, so it was very likely that that person wasn't going to die and claim the bounty. And they did, so I'm happy for them. I mean, I kind of find it silly to go for your own bounties.
Oh, what do you think is going to happen
should.
to, what's it called? Like the itemized prophecies for unique items, and the upgrades.
Probably
something else I'm worried about is Twice
them.
Enchanted for lab.
Yes.
I mean, Twice Enchanted is already so rare, and I don't know. I probably would like it if it went away. I mean, I guess in Trade League you could buy them, so the argument is irrelevant there.
You can just buy 100 of them for 4C a piece.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. But like for me in SSF, it's just so frustrating because I have like 200 silver coins. And I was like, okay, my character is ready for Uberlap. Let's get a Twice Enchanted. And you burn through the 200 silver coins, and when you're lucky, you get one. And most of the times, I don't get one. And then I have a shitload of Plague Maw prophecies and all that stuff.
Do you prophecy block?
I mean, yeah, I have prophecies active when I spam prophecies, yeah. But you can't block everything, right? I do try to block.
Yeah.
But I do try. I mean, I block the chain prophecies because they're super expensive to seal, right? So that already occupies like 4 or 5 slots, depending on which ones you got going. And then usually it's like not mysterious gift. It's like usually it's something common that is annoying to get rid of, like the one where you have to read a lore item. Yeah, or the one where you have to go to Chamber of Sins to get the tier 1 maps.
You can knock out 2 birds, 1 stone, read the lore item, get the maps, bam!
Yeah, and then use the maps for harvest crafts that give you Atlas missions, right? Sure. Or like enchanted Zana mods.
But I do wonder about that too. I'm quite concerned about some of the, like, for example, both my any Holopalm build, your best in slot is going to be a wild wrap, which is upgraded brisk wrap. Like, you can craft something, but like damage-wise, it's the best. And it's like, so what's going to happen to that wild wrap? Because I would like that to stay in the game. It's like, it's not very expensive, you know? Like, I don't want them to get rid of it. And brisk wrap is not nearly as good. So I don't know how they're going to implement that. Are they just going to be regular drop?
I assume they just have to enter the drop pool. Like
random prophecies just dropping on the ground? Like, no, because then there's no one to do the prophecies. So Twice Enchanted, for example. Tempest.
So Twice Enchanted is just gone. My sad part is
Vol wins.
Frogs and rats. Like, I always have just a whole stash tab full of frog prophecies and a whole stash tab full of rat prophecies. So that when I go map farming, I pick whichever one's relevant and add like 16 packs of mobs to my map with the prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just gonna go. It's just I don't actually give a shit about the prophecy leaving. You're just taking out my juice. I want more mobs. They're taking away my mobs. I'm gonna miss 16 packs per map.
Yeah, the juice.
I'm sad about it.
Honestly, though, I don't micromanage. I bet I'm part of the reason they're taking out. I'm one of the players that's just like, I never interact with this shit. Fuck it. It's all the way over there. Especially now that Taint's my main trader. I don't really care about the prophecies that exist over there that I'm never really gonna, because they're all trash prophecies.
Oh no.
So I probably have like, what?
Diwali is the only one in our hideout that you can turn in divination card sets.
Time to go back to
I don't want to go back to town. I don't want to go back to town.
You have to go back to town for the flavor, Balor. You have to feel the weight of the div cards.
Feel the weight of Tasuni and how disappointed he is with you for picking that other one.
Maybe we can invite Tasuni to the hideout soon.
Absolutely not, dude.
I don't want that guy in my hideout.
No, that fucking weirdo.
I'll tell you who you have to invite to your hideout. You should unlock, when you get to Ariath, just once, like the Scion unlock. You can do it once per account ever.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of the, Lily Roth, or like one of the vendors that does gems.
Yeah, Ciosa.
That should happen so that I can buy gems on my alts, and that person could also hand in divination card sets, whoever that is. And then problem solved. And now we've fixed 2 problems. We can still hand in our divination cards in our hideouts, and I can buy weird gems when I'm leveling weird shit.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't screw with new players by overwhelming them with 300 gems that they don't need, because you have to at least finish it once to get there.
Maybe they'll just give it to Helena since she's basically
3 problems.
Like, it's just hideout trade, right? Why not just give her some cards too? She's already got a briefcase.
That's fair.
Yeah, she's ready to go with her attaché, you know?
I really do like Helena when I'm in like a trade league and someone went into my hideout before me, and then my hideout is on Australia Realm or something like that, and I can just use Helena to reset the hideout instance. Such quality of life. Just change to a different one, change back, and it's fixed.
I have a ridiculous pet peeve where if somebody desecrates in my hideout, I have to switch it because I don't want to see those corpses on the ground.
I'd like to point out that you just said that out loud.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I switch hideouts because I hate when people put corpses on the ground. I'll switch hideouts every time. You come to my hideout, I'm put corpses there. I don't think so. I did that up very special with 5 vendors all together. Okay, don't put. I basically did
Any of
nothing.
you remember when they you could ruin people's hideouts with the worm flask, and you just completely cover their floor, and it wouldn't despawn or anything?
Yes. Oh my god, that was terrible.
It gets worse.
What?
Because you can do it again now, but there's a way to summon little mobs that never expire, and they all move, and you can summon so many of them that even my boss PC that I don't even stream on, it streams from a second PC, drops to like 1 frame a second, and you can do that right now.
Is that with the specters that summon zombies that don't have a cap or something like that? That used to be a thing, right? Like I've seen these hideouts with like hundreds of zombies in there.
You don't even have to work that hard, dude. You just got to use Whispering Ice. Like, you don't even got to work hard.
These just stay.
Yeah.
They just stay there. All I know is Coffee came into my hideout and put 7 million tiny little mobs in my map, in my hideout, and I couldn't even walk. I couldn't even walk over to Helena to change my hideout. It was just done. The hideout instance done.
You had a good run.
Yeah. Had to like log out, go back to town, change to Act 2, find Helena there, and reset my hideout there so I could go back in.
Amazing.
Oh my god. Amazing.
Any other pet peeves or like small complaints about like small changes that could make the game a lot better?
I have one that's specific to DD. Pretty much. I mean, I guess it helps Spectre builds too, but they should make like a menagerie for every monster in the game or something, or ones you've raised as a Spectre, because specifically for DD, since I need like 12 corpses, I cannot, and specific to Gauntlet, they didn't let you make Spectre banks because PvP characters were disabled, and usually they haven't ever been before, but they were this time.
Yeah, I've seen Zizaran tweet about it, where he was
characters in Gauntlet.
Yeah, in theory, you'd have to level like 5, but
yeah. So what I just left my account open in my hideout forever.
Oh my god!
How
did you not have the data or memory leak? You didn't memory leak out?
Just begging to not have an instance crash.
Yeah. Another thing that's bad about it is when you delve, it will reset your hideout instance. There's like this weird thing where delve, it'll crash it. Like you can go back to it, then you'll do a map, and then you can't leave the map.
Oh, okay.
Can't portal out.
So that's how that happens.
So that is caused only when you go directly to a node from your hideout. So the cause, I don't know why, but the cause of that is when you open the delve portal in your hideout by talking to Nico and directly picking a delve part. If you go to your waypoint and then go to delve and then go delving,
go to your waypoint. You don't have a macro for /Azurite mine or whatever it is /delve.
No.
What? You don't have fast travel?
No.
Yeah.
No.
I have a /delve, I have a /menagerie, I have a hideout, all bound to keys. So I just, at the moment I log in, I spam one key, and then it instantly loads into wherever I want to go.
I only have one for the hideout. But either way, if you use that, or if you just like waypoint to the place and then delve from there, that weird crash when you enter your next map doesn't happen. But if you just like click on Nico and then go to a delve place that you want to delve and you come back, then it crashes. And I can't explain why, but you could not have that crash by doing it the long way for some reason.
The load screens though.
I have no idea why it works.
I expect you to know. I expect you to have the answers for this.
I have no idea why it works. I only know that it's recreatable and that anyone can test it and it works. I don't know why.
Weird. But yeah, I agree. I mean, not only for DD, that would also be cool for actual Spectre summoners, because sometimes you just want to change different Spectres for single target, for bossing, and for mapping and stuff like that.
For a really long time, I've wanted the Spectre gem to be giving me 2 skills, not 1. it should give me a summon spectre skill and a memorize spectre skill. Like a better name than that. I'm not naming it, but you know, there should be 2 skills in that. One that just raises me a spectre that I want, and one that saves this as the spectre that I'm using.
Necromantic wisdom or something like that.
Yeah, that sounds.
Okay, you're not
like
naming
exactly
it either.
Like the skill. That sounds like the skill. I don't know what you mean. That sounds like it to me.
Necromantic
wisdom.
encyclopedia.
And then it would have some really convoluted wording that makes it hard to understand if you can actually put this on or do damage with it. You know what I mean?
No, wait, I got a better one. Necromantic Pokedex.
Not a Pokedex.
Mm.
It would be like a, Necronomicon. Your own Necronomicon. Exactly, but it can only be filled with so many specters, let's say. Honestly, I played specters for the first time this league. I've never hated minions more in my life. I don't trust them. I don't feel safe with them. And I generally, I can totally see how having a specter like menagerie would make so much more sense, because as it stands, if it wasn't for somebody in my chat that had the specters I wanted, I wouldn't have done it, because fuck that. Basically is how I felt about it. It's terrible, but it's true at the same time. It's like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I don't feel safe with, I don't feel like I'm doing the damage with minions, so therefore they're doing the damage and I'm just sitting there like, you know, hoping to live or something. It's not interactive enough. That's how I feel about minions. Never been a fan. But yeah, that would make a lot of sense. That would be something so... Now, I say it could be so easy to put into the game, but I'm no programmer. I have no idea. But they have all these monsters and they know what they do. Like, how hard can it be?
Yeah, I mean, it's just
they have the menagerie.
Exactly. They already have a menagerie.
Yeah, I'm thinking, like, there's just surely a way to work it out. It's just like, it's such a small archetype in comparison to like all the options in the game, and it would probably mean that they'd have to devote a significant portion of development time to some feature that helps a very insignificant portion of players or builds. Right?
You say a small archetype, and then like 46 of 2 leagues ago was all necromancers doing a bunch of DD.
Sure. Like the way that PoE build meta is easily polarized, then every once in a while it's a significant portion. But
yeah, like look at all the Cyclone Andes until they nerfed Cyclone really, really bad. Everybody was, because Cyclone was great, you know, so it makes sense. And now, like, minions are really good, except I don't trust them. It's a me thing. Don't worry, minion people.
I think Cyclone is still like a little bit more popular because it's such a popular like action RPG trope. Is that whirlwind skill, like just
whirlwinding
spinning through the maps, spin to win.
Even currently, right now, 12% of all players on PoE Ninja are raised Spectre.
That's still a surprising.
That's a pretty decent chunk, at least in softcore trade.
And how many are DD?
I don't know. It doesn't show up in the top 10.
I mean, when the specters are good, they're good, right? Like apparently,
that is 0.2%.
Okay.
Yo, sounds like I got a good, niche field to play. Gonna be perfectly fine too. Oh man.
I really hope. Well, please finish your point.
Oh, I don't even know what it was, so go ahead.
No. Wait, you don't know? Okay, maybe
I literally don't know.
We can jump back. I was just gonna say, I was gonna jump back, actually. I was gonna jump back to Navali leaving us. And I was like, man, I really hope they do like a betrayal part 2 where Navali betrays you. Like, maybe all of the current NPCs just betray you, and maybe not all, because... But like I want like another betrayal, like maybe not the same as betrayal, but like I want a league that's similar to that. I really enjoyed that league so much. Maybe I wouldn't enjoy it now, but
Harbinger 2 needs to come before anything else.
True.
Like
I need to go through that giant portal to wherever the hell Harbingers come from. I'm the invading force now. I need this.
Turns out though, you're just floating in space. You lose oxygen immediately, just dead. Okay.
Oh, I watched
Just face
Sunshine
it.
yesterday. But no more sidetracks.
Oh shit. But yeah, no, I would go for Legacy next just because like give me some of that old good stuff. Especially now that I deleted multiple Legacy items. I'd like some more Legacy. Yeah. Be nice. Keystones kind of sucked. They take up a whole map tab, but then you get to also pick like what you wanted to place. It's nice too.
Well, any other like changes to league mechanics? Anything that you would like to see? I mean, we're about to round it all off. I don't want to keep you here much longer, but if there's anything that we still want to talk about, this is the time to bring it up. Any hopes for the future? I'll go first. I'll say I'm really hyped to see the reduction to 4 Atlas regions instead of 8. I'm really curious to see how that's going to play out and what they're going to do with the Atlas passes, which ones are going to disappear, which ones are going to stay, how they're going to be joined into like presumably bigger trees with a little bit fewer options and more power in one place rather than spread out over all those little trees. And then obviously another change that I'm really hyped for is the rework, hopefully the rework again of Flask mods. The thing that they talked about where you have active, like reactive and proactive flasks. I can't wait for that to happen because it feels so bad right now to not use your shock immune Jade Flask because you need to have it up for when you get shocked, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to remove the shock or to be immune to shock. You only gain the immunity when you remove the ailment with it, and that feels pretty bad.
So the other half of the Flask rework. Because it only got
basically.
half done. That's what it is. It's the other half that should have all been done at once. It'll hopefully feel great after that.
I mean, honestly, I don't think it's the right thing to be able to pre-flask blanket immunities, but just the way it is now is really awkward. But I said that before on podcast. I wouldn't really mind ailments being an actual thing that you have to play around. Like, having better access to reduced effect of ailments and then not being shock immune, but being shocked occasionally and then playing and positioning a little bit more carefully for the moment, the duration of the shock. As long as you can somehow avoid directly getting shocked again or something like that. Because for me, it's like with curses right now, I often don't run a curse immune flask because I feel like most of the times when you're getting cursed, you're instantly getting cursed again. And you also can't remove map mods on like curse mods on maps anymore.
Yeah.
Plus they're weaker now. Yeah. Wait,
Yeah.
what? Like
Just
why?
like, why do you have it?
Oh yeah, why would you have
Curse
removed
immune all
curses?
the time?
Yeah. If it doesn't have like a 4-second, you're literally just hitting it to be cursed again. like I don't understand the
Pretty
point
much.
of that flask anymore at this point in time. I have a really unpopular opinion, especially for the hardcore community, where I would like ailments to have a cap. You can only be 75% ailment immune, and that's how it is, and that's it. After that, you have to work around the other 25%, because the fact that they constantly say, we don't want you guys to have immunities, or we want you to invest heavily in immunities. But then they give raiders 50% ailment immunity with like 4 points to get the other 100%, right? It's like really dumb. It's obviously like one of the best classes to be. So if they don't want it, why don't you just make people play around it and let everybody get like, if they want to go a high level of ailment defenses, they can do it. That like that's really, I know, unpopular opinion though.
If you get 75% freeze chance to avoid being frozen, you might as well have 0.
No.
You're either freeze immune or you're not freeze immune. If you get frozen, you die. If you can still be frozen, then you still need an anti-freeze flask. And if you've got an anti-freeze flask, you might as well not have any ailment immunity.
But they want you to have anti-freeze flasks. They don't want you to just be immune to frozen necessarily. They want you to use the flask.
Pointless. Either
no, I don't
I'm
think
okay with the idea.
Pointless.
I'm okay with the idea of you don't want immunities, right? But in that case, just remove that as a stat. But there's no point in having a cap on it.
They want it with heavy investment, right?
It's useless.
They wanted it with heavy investment, I think, is what they were saying. Like, yeah, okay, you can get it, but you got to invest a good amount, kind of thing. Like, technically you can get ignite immune if you corrupt rings, but it's like takes base 40 rings to get the corrupt, right? So it is an investment that you have to spend to get that kind of resist, and you can do it. I think it was obviously something they thought was way too easy because they took it away from a sense that it made sense to have ailment immunity. So I just think, okay, if they don't want us to get it so easy, then why allow us to have full immunity in the first place? But that maybe is like too extreme.
No, I couldn't agree more. It's an unpopular take, but I do think like having such easy access to complete elemental ailment avoidance, giving us that access was a mistake. Like as a player who's played before, I mean, probably most of you have played before it was a thing, but like just back in the day when you just really, when even Flasks didn't give you the 4-second immunity or the immunity during Flask effect duration, but they just would remove it. But the game was much slower paced, so it wouldn't feel as bad if you get frozen in place for 2 seconds. But nowadays, if you get frozen in place for 2 seconds, you just die. So I agree with people saying that freeze maybe shouldn't even be a thing from hits. Like if hits could just chill you, then that would be fine. Because none of the other ailments are as detrimental as freeze. But it's like, with the current pace of the game, when you get frozen, you're dead. A shock is pretty bad.
Shock. Yeah. I mean, if you're CI, ignite. Ignite can just absolutely decimate a CI build. You're like, oh, am I wearing paper? I am. You know, as it all burns off. What it feels like.
You can still use Val Discipline through it. But I'm generally not in favor of complete immunities or complete 100% avoidance. And I also think that the access to block or dodge is like problematic because the mechanics were designed when we had very limited access to them and when the game was a different one than it is now. And just by the power creep of us having more and more access to those mechanics, and then the developers reacting to the current state of the game and the current state of builds and wanting to make challenging content, the game got into this point where it's like almost 100% necessary. Like a build is shit if it doesn't have either block or dodge.
I mean, it's definitely a lot goddamn harder to make sure that you survive if you don't have block or dodge or something like that. Like the extra layers that you have to put down on top of like that is a lot. It like defenses, that's actually my number one gripe in the game, period, is defenses, because when I first started playing this game, like I could be a fully juiced up, like, I don't know, blocky witch, because this tree was much smaller, it was much easier to get block nodes, you know, I could be like a melee witch if I wanted to, it was more free. And now it's like, okay, I want to be a witch, where are my defenses? It's a necro or it's mom, and these are my options. And I don't like that, because I feel like as it specializes, it takes away my ability to like. So right now, one of my issues with the build I'm playing is the fact that I can't really leech because it's a damage, over time. So that doesn't work. I don't have anywhere where I can really get any meaningful block or any meaningful dodge. I can't use up my mana because I'm already running mana, like my mana is light. So what I basically have is a shitload of armor with like 75% fizz mitigation and regen. And that's what I have to run with as a witch, because there's just nothing else in the area to offer me some substantial defense, which is making it kind of scary. Yeah, I suppose that would be like, those are my two. It's all about defense, right? I guess those are my two gripes with those are the things I want to change. Of course, some quality of life things like putting the fragment tab on the map device some way, because I'm way too lazy to pull out fragments on my own.
Oh yeah, having like a vending machine kind of thing where you have like a funnel that you can put your fragments in, and they would just automatically slide down whenever they're consumed on the side of the map device.
That would work way better for me, just because I'm really lazy.
Yeah, I would very much like to set up 200 sets of scarabs in my map device and just have it be like, just use these until I run out. Just go.
But defense
and also
is always
remember the last goddamn Zana mod I put on my map.
Yes, please.
If I want to put a Zana mob on my map, just remember that was there. Let me move them even, just so that I can put the one that I want near the top, so it's not halfway down the list. That would be okay.
You're asking way too much.
Lily, where do you stand on the topic of avoidance for both ailments and like damage avoidance? Do you think the game needs to change there?
I think it's in a better state now than it was before. I didn't like that flasks were the solution to everything. I think you should have to invest a bit or something like that. But I think you should have to react to it. I know a lot of people don't like that, but I don't know about removing it or adding a cap. I think it's it depends on some builds it's unattainable. Some builds there's like scuffed things you can do. Some builds you can't really do anything. So I think there's a lot of things. I think they need to relook at the tree and make it more available over the whole thing. So this isn't ailments, but similar. Like when they change curses to being on maps, I think they need to add more curse reduction on the tree, because basically the only place you can get it is all the way to the left.
Yeah.
And if you're right side builds, you're not getting anything. You get the Pantheon if you really want it.
Well,
and there's a good amount of it over there too. Like if you happen to be in the Templar corner and you take both of those in the Pantheon, curses barely do anything anymore. But that's it. That's the only place for them. That's it. Be in the Templar corner.
I completely agree. The accessibility of the tree has become an issue. That's a perfect way to put it.
Is that something that could be solved via cluster jewels? I mean, I guess cluster jewels are always an issue because you can stack them. But what I really liked about cluster jewels is bringing notables into areas in the tree where you wouldn't have access to that sort of stat. That's what I thought.
That might
really
actually be a thing. I don't know. I haven't looked at curse cluster jewels. That might actually be a thing. I just wasn't aware.
I don't know whether there's actually reduced effect of curses on you on cluster jewels a lot. I know that there's increased effect of your curses.
The same opinion of cluster jewels since Delirium League, and everyone hates it. And they keep nerfing cluster jewels. They keep doing these stupid things to cluster jewels, make them worse and worse. Eventually, they're not going to be worth using. And the only thing they ever needed to do was a very, very, very simple nerf. The notables shouldn't stack. They should never have stacked.
How dare you? How am I going to get my cold dot damage now?
But that's it. If you've got 2 medium cold dot clusters, you have to come up with 4 useful notables, not 2. If you've got a double cluster set up, then you shouldn't have the same medium cluster in 4 places. You should be having to find other notables, and then people will be like, "Oh, but this build there's not even enough for 4." Good. There should be a point where you go back to the normal tree. It shouldn't be the case that if you can fit in another cluster jewel, it is always 100% of the time the right choice. There's got to be a point where your build goes, going over for a 3rd set of cluster jewels isn't really worth it because I've used all the good ones. So instead, I'll use the points on the tree.
Yeah, but the tree's got to be good to want to use the points on the tree, and there's where a whole problem comes back to the tree being bad.
Right? And just, if you did that, if you made it so that they didn't stack, so you had to look for different notables, there would be a lot more use of different cluster jewels. The cluster jewels wouldn't have had to been buffed as much, and you fix the problem of aura bots and aura stackers and huge, way overpowered support classes, because they were never overpowered before cluster jewels. Having an aura support was always good, even before cluster jewels existed. It was always good, but it was never in that broken, overpowered state before cluster jewels. And if they didn't stack, it still wouldn't be now. It would just be better than it was, but not as good as this.
Yeah, and they could also then buff the alt quality gems back up, the alt quality auras.
And the fire dot multi stuff could come back because you would have to come up with different ones.
Yeah. And if that's a problem, they could still add new notables that provide similar stats or something like that if they feel like a build needs more access to notables of a certain kind. But it would be a lot less of a pain to balance, I imagine, if you could have every notable only a limited number of times. Maybe not even make them not stack, but just similar to unique regular jewels, have them have a limit. Where you have like, okay, this notable you can have maximum twice, and this notable you can only have once.
Anyway, that's my own. That's really like my only hot take on what they need to fix in the game is they've been just fucking up cluster jewels since the moment they put them in. Like, and then they never needed to get nerfed. Yeah, they never really needed to get nerfed this much. Maybe the first round of nerfs they didn't was appropriate, but since then, they just needed to limit them. It was just limit one. That was always the problem. Limit one notables, all of them. And then, ta-da, build diversity back instead of just how many cluster setups can I fit?
Yep. All right. We're almost 3 hours in. I don't want to keep you here longer than 3 hours. Plus, I don't want to pay the extreme amount of hosting fees for 3 hour plus content. But one last closing thought round. What would you nerf if you were GGG? We don't want to give them ideas, but what do you think needs to be nerfed? Like something that you're not playing, obviously, because you don't want to give them ideas to nerf you. But like if there's something that you would like to point out. Maybe it's a double mention. Maybe it's something that we already talked about. But is there any builds that you think stand out that deserve to be nerfed? I'll just go first. I'll basically double down on block and dodge. And I know, like, a lot of people are going to call me out and they're going to say, like, what, Catmaster? But block and dodge is the only way builds are staying alive now. Like, how could you nerf that? I think it would make the game much more manageable because the reason that you die in 2 or 3 hits nowadays, or in 1 hit, is that you're avoiding 75+% of those hits. And that's why the game is balanced in this way, that you get randomly one-shot when you do get hit. And if block and dodge was not as easily accessible or wouldn't avoid the full portion of the damage, then they could make the game much more forgiving and make it so that you don't get instantly bursted down that hard. And that you actually have to play around things by positioning instead of like relying on your block or dodge by face tanking, and then like 1 out of 4 or 5 times you lie in the dirt, even though you did everything correctly for your build, so to say. I think it's really like the high amount of damage avoidance that is available via block and dodge is just bad for the game design. And if they take it away, it's probably going to be shit. Don't get me wrong. Like the same way that flasks were changed, I don't think it's going to be right. It's going to feel right the first patch that they do that. But I think in the long run, that would be the right choice to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they intend to make the game harder. Well, if they remove that, it would be, I mean, I can give you my Ignite build and you can see what it's like without any block or dodge.
Wait, I thought you didn't have any block or dodge.
I don't, so you can really feel that lack of block and dodge.
Yeah, but it will not feel as bad as compared to a fully invested block or dodge build, or one that has access to it, if that gets nerfed, right? Then your build will be more viable in comparison to other builds, defensively speaking.
I suppose, but then it's like most builds can just do more damage while having more survivability, so it's just not.
Okay, maybe that wouldn't be enough to salvage your build, your extreme outlier case.
You know what though? I would be a little. So I made an explosive concoction build. It actually turned out amazing. I actually love this build. I'm going to play it as my league start next league.
Explosive concoction.
Love it. Yeah, dude. I made a really dank explosive concoction build. It does it's shotguns. It does over 1 million DPS per for each thing, which overlap each other. So it's like 5 million per hit. It's really, really nice. And it's got 55% block or dodge and spell dodge. So to lose all that, it'd be like, oh, I'm just evasion. Oh, I guess I'm dying then. It wouldn't be very good. Because evasion, which I can't believe has is actually. What is the word I'm looking for? It's not diminishing returns, but it actually has a set. You evade, and then eventually it kind of is diminishing returns.
Entropy.
And then eventually you get hit. Entropy, thank you. That's the word I was looking for. It has entropy. I was shocked about that. But with evasion builds, you need another layer. You need it because it's stupid because evasion is stupid. Oh man. But yeah, explosive concoction actually really works. It is going to be my league start, and it's an ascendant. She's fucking sick.
Can't wait for that build guide. But
It's
again, if not, every other build would be able to avoid like just 3/4 of all incoming damage, but only like half of them, and instead monsters would deal half the damage that they do per hit instead of like what they currently do. I think that would just make everything a lot more bearable.
I just said with my, it's actually funny you say that because when I did the video for the mana bond, I said any build where you have to stand still, you already have one foot in the door of death, right?
Yep.
You're already saying hello to death. And any build where you have to like, that's scorching ray, goodbye.
Yeah,
right?
channeling skills are terrible.
Exactly, right? Like, so it just doesn't, it can't work because they don't allow you to stand still. Basically, unless you have other defense. I feel, I don't know if it's true, I'm just talking about my feels here. I'm only going with gut instincts, not actual numbers.
Yeah, I don't know what they can do about block and dodge, honestly. I think it's such a huge defense. I don't know, maybe a damage reduction thing, but I feel like maybe they shouldn't nerf it or anything, but I feel like they should buff bosses. Like, I don't think you should be able to tank as much as you can. Like,
I agree.
Tanking 3 dive beams in a row. I don't think that should be a thing.
I agree with that.
Or like when I
because
tanked,
it's a boss.
Yeah. Or like I just stood in the shaper balls and tanked them all in my shaper fight. I mean, I only did it once, but I don't think like I should have been dead there. I don't think there should be a get out of jail free card if you get lucky.
Yeah. It would help you feel like, oh, this fight's more technical. It's, like actually, like there is mechanics to a fight, but when you can stand there and just take it all, it's like, what mechanic? Where?
See, my argument then would be the mechanic is that you made a really good build. I mean,
you're just cheesing.
Like was Lily's build? Lily's build was very tanky, but by softcore standards, the damage was garbage.
That was garbage in hardcore standards
and
too for that fight, anyways.
but that's what you've given up. You've given up damage and clear speed to have an incredibly tanky character, and I think it's okay that decision pays off with being able to survive a lot of things that other builds wouldn't. And I think that that's an okay trade to make.
To a point.
Yeah, that's fair. My thing is that I don't like how it's RNG based. Like, if you get unlucky with your blocks, or if you get lucky, then you'll survive. I think it should be some other system. Like, I think...
Like entropy based, like evasion or what?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is more entropy systems. Those are really good. I really like entropy systems. And the only one we have is evade, right? Or is it the dodge? It's either the dodge or the evade, one of them. Whichever one.
Evasion, but there's also map equity, right? Like, I mean, it's not technically an entropy system, but if you drop maps that you can't drop, or if you would drop maps that you can't drop, then there's some equity in the background stacking up that makes it more likely that you drop maps or something like that. That's the TLDR. I don't know exactly how the mechanic works, but something like that. So basically, what I'm trying to say is, if you block a hit, or if you block a number of hits that is too big, that it just builds up a likelihood of you not blocking a hit to the point where you actually
that's entropy.
Yeah, basically, but it doesn't have
Just
to work exactly the same as
you're
with
describing
evasion.
an entropy system.
Yeah, no, I'm saying it doesn't have to be the exact same entropy system. It doesn't have to be the exact same way that it works for evasion. That's what I'm saying. Like, it could. I'm not a game designer. I'm sure
that's
there
all
would be
entropy
another.
is.
Yeah, but there's another way that you could do it. It would still end up being entropy, but it wouldn't work the exact same way. That's what I'm saying. It would still be a entropy system, but it would not be a copy of the entropy system for evasion, just for the sake of changing it. But yeah, no, I think that is fair. And of course, performance. Performance. Oh, next patch, more performance. Great.
Performance.
Oh, I lost performance roulette hard. I was whatever that engine update they did at the end of last league. My game has been. It does not run good
Really?
at all. I even I cleaned my PC
Mhm.
to try and get the temps lower, but even when I did that, it's still really bad. Like, I don't know what happened, but DirectX is unplayable. Like, I get huge micro stutters every pact. Vulcan does something weird and like turns my game into an acid trip every like 5 maps or something.
Oh.
And then it's like old Peewee where you know a lot of artifacting and like weird light beams all over your screen.
Oh no.
I have that again.
No. Oh, that's terrible. I cleared my cache, my shader cache, and it helped a bit, but I completely agree. There's been something really odd with the way that things have been running ever since they did that last. Like sometimes I get like actually I'm on lockstep, but I'll actually get rubber banding. And it's like, what? What's happening here? And what's you can see like when they gave you the extra things for shader or whatever, you can see something slightly go up, but it's not enough. But I felt that immediately. And I'm like, okay, that would sometimes it kills me, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, there's something weird. There's something weird with the performance. I know it does a lot of calculations, but dude, it's like the only game out there where you're like, you gotta upgrade your PC, it still may perform like shit. You're like, why?
Yeah, if you buy the wrong upgrade, it actually is worse.
Exactly. But yeah, this processor just isn't as good as this other processor for it. Therefore, you're gonna run like 20% worse than everybody else. What do you mean?
Yeah, while on every other game you get a 50% performance increase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just one of those games. Like I know it does a lot, and I know it's really hard on like your PC and server side, but
there are some things that just don't make sense. I agree. No, I have like a weird. I mean, I haven't tried it recently, but last time I played Desecrate DD, I also played the DD Necro in a Gauntlet to much less success, but I did not like it because I had problems. Every time I desecrated, I had like micro stutters. And I thought it was because of the Desecrate MTX, but when I took off the MTX, it also didn't work. And this is terrible.
My General Cry build that uses Desecrate cast on channel, it's like the same problem. It's almost unplayable because of the Desecrate. I'm pretty sure it's Desecrate as well.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Feels bad, man.
Yep.
Well, great. Anything you want to shout out before we really finally finish? Is there anything you want to shout out? Shout out yourself. Like what are you gonna do next? What can the viewers expect when tuning into your streams? I'll link the streams in chat while everyone's still here before I end it. Someone has to say what they're gonna do. Balor, what's your next build guide after you're done optimizing the dev cell?
I've already got half the build built for a low life Bane occultist, which I think can be done on under 20x. So I might do that as well. But my next thing is going to be just getting my challenges done because I haven't even looked at challenges. I don't think I've opened the challenge page this league.
I'm gonna tell
I
you
just
right
checked.
now.
I have 28 done, so I have to fix that.
Oh, then you're good. Probably good. What are you gonna go for 40?
I think I have 14.
Oh, I never do 40.
Hey.
36.
Hey, 14's pretty good.
I
Without
never
carry?
do challenges. Never. I don't look at them. I still have the easiest ones undone. I just can't do it. I hate them.
I just want the portal.
I was 3 weeks into the league and I literally no bully, okay? I never used a chance orb 3 weeks into the league. I don't know how it happened, but I guess I just didn't use one.
What? You have to do an Exalt chart recipe for the vendor recipe this time?
Yeah,
oh,
you
boy.
do. It's just, it's just annoying. Honestly, all these challenges are just annoying, and I used to... First, it was like, oh, here's my totem EPing, and also it was a way to get MTX. And now it's just like, I finally am giving up on 40-40. I'm giving up. I'm over it. I gave up on it last league officially. I'm done with it. 36 is what I want at the most. I can't do it. Not with all these conditionals.
36 if it's a good MTX on 36. Otherwise, I don't care.
My
this is a portal,
OCD
and I want it, so I'm taking it.
really wants it.
Portal looks beautiful, yeah, I agree. I mean, I got already 18, so it's already half of 36, right? Copium.
Yeah. Yeah, you're basically right there. Exactly. I'm going to be working on this Arma brand Ignite, and then everybody keeps telling me that Storm Rain is bad, so let's just try that and find out how bad it really is. And then, because why not? At this point, I'm just like, you say it's bad, let's see if it is. Oh, okay, it is. Like, basically is where I'm at. I'm just trying things, I'm also, maybe I won't unmold from I'll demold from last epoch and actually get through it and enjoy the game and just accept the fact that things leash on me eternally. I'm getting there. I'm coming around to it. These are the plans. Working on more Ignite. Ignite with some more Ignite, because I feel like, just like the mana bond, actually even more so, it's edging. It's almost really decent for bossing.
I know that feeling. Like it's almost there, just a little bit more.
Just, like it's right on the edge, so I know I can do something with it.
Right. Lilia, do you have any builds that you look forward to returning to?
Yeah, I've been playing, well, not since before Gauntlet, but Low Life 5 Winter Occultist is a lot of fun, and I'm probably going to play it a bit more because it's probably going to be ruined next league.
I would not be surprised to see that
really
heavily nerfed.
Eye of Winter is going to be a heavy nerf?
Well, I don't think they'll nerf Eye of Winter, but they'll probably, I have suspicions they'll nerf the Hydrosphere interaction where it chains off of it, which is like the only reason it does damage at all.
Yeah,
without that, it's a worthless skill.
Man, Hydrosphere is utilized by so many builds. It's so good for SST, like in Gauntlet, when you could put places into a doorway and just basically off-screen everything through the doorway via Hydrosphere.
Yep.
Yeah, they probably need to nerf the... I don't want to give them ideas, but the chaining range on Hydrosphere or something like that. I mean, obviously, the fact that things chain off of Hydrosphere is like kind of the skill design. They can't take that away completely, right?
I gotta add an addendum. Don't inherently nerf all chaining range, please. Okay. Took it all out.
Yeah, they'll nerf the chaining range and then nerf the chaining range on Hydrosphere too.
And then they nerf the chain gem.
Yep. Oh my god. No, didn't they buff it? Like, chain gem is one of the few that were like, oh, chain didn't get affected this league. Nice. It was actually, or maybe it was just looking.
Yeah, it was indirectly buffed by not nerfing it, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. But yeah, that sounds fun. Eye of Winter, Hydrosphere mixed with an occultist. I thought it would be a debate skill, honestly. Eye of Winter, like I thought, no way, it's gonna work. It looks too cool.
It does.
Yeah.
But yeah, before we go into a full-on discussion mode again, I want to quickly thank everyone for coming onto the podcast. You were amazing. Thanks, Velyna. Thanks, DS Lily. And thanks, BalorMage, for sharing your experiences in these past 2 weeks or so. It was great, and I hope you'll come again soon. And for those of you in chat, also thanks for joining, and thanks to the people watching the VOD. If you've missed the beginning of the podcast, you can always watch the entire thing on my YouTube, where it will be uploaded in full. And we also have an audio version of the podcast, so if you're commuting, or you just like to ride the bus for no good reason for long periods of time, you could listen to it via Spotify or any of the podcast apps. And with that said, I quickly want to tease that we're going to have another episode, because this one is a little bit later than it usually would have been. We usually do these on Saturdays, and the Gauntlet was still going on last Saturday, so we moved it to this Wednesday, the day after Gauntlet ended. But that also means that next Saturday, we're already going to have the next episode, where we're going to be joined by two big YouTube PoE players with the names of Lighty and Big Ducks. So very much looking forward to that. I know Big Ducks has some very critical takes of the state of PoE 3.15. And I'm actually curious to hear what Lighty thinks, because he's a very SSF-focused man. Does the all-for-one unique challenge always. So it's going to be a very interesting conversation as usual. And with that said, guys, make sure you check out the amazing broadcasters that were featured on this episode. Give them a follow, give them some of your watch time, and maybe a Twitch Prime. Other than that, have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next Saturday. Bye-bye.